All right, we're going to start the December 6th meeting. We'll have, I'll do the invocation, then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Wilson. Then we'll have roll call. Everybody please stand. Heavenly Father, we ask you to watch over us tonight as we go about our city commission meeting. Ask us to watch out, please watch out for the first responders as they go about their daily business, the fire and the police. We ask you to watch out over the people as this COVID is still going around, and ask you to protect us as we go through this business. We ask in your holy name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Brinson?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Firstner?
Here.
Commissioner Oliver?
Here.
All right, presentation proclamations. We have one. So, Craig, are you going to start off with the presentation?
What am I presenting? I'm sorry, Mayor.
There's none.
I'll be coming up on a specific agenda item on the regular agenda.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
All right, no proclamations, so we're going to go to staff reports.
I have nothing this evening, ma'am.
All right, public comments. Public comments that I have for this part of the meeting will be, start will be Jim Moyer.
Yes, sir. My name's Jim Moyer. I live in Arden Park. I live with my wife and 3 stepchildren, the oldest of which graduated from Ocoee High some years ago. The 2 younger ones, one's a sophomore, one's a junior at Ocoee High School. And on behalf of my family, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Oliver, thank you very much for sending them off to down south. I'm very, very proud of what Ocoee football accomplished this year. They competed against the team Columbus in Miami with a population 8 times that of Ocoee, in a county, Miami-Dade County, that twice the size of Orange County. And they competed against a team with that only had 1 loss. So it was a tremendous accomplishment, and I believe the whole city should be very proud of the Ocoee football team. Also, tomorrow, please consider taking a moment to remember the thousands of people, 2,000 people that died at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, and the over 400,000 fellow Americans that died during World War II. So I would just respectfully ask that you take a moment sometime during your day to remember all those people who died for our freedom. Thank you for your time, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. All right, next will be Steve Marbase. Just to remind everybody, and I was telling them a while ago, it's 3 minutes, Mr. Marbase.
Speak fast. Did y'all get my letters I gave you today, and y'all read them? Everybody? Okay, I'm gonna read the same thing right now. Is that what you want me to do? Okay. October 31st, my 26-year-old son became violent. We called 911. Officer responded on my son, but he had already drove off. We told the officer he would be back at 6:45. He returned, started breaking things in our home. We called 911 again. The same officer came out. We told him that my son was running into the subdivision. He took off to go look for him. Then 2 more officers showed up. We told them they should need to go look for my son. Officer
Lawrence refused and wanted us to explain exactly again what was going on. I got upset. They weren't going to look for my son. Then it turned bad. I was in my doorway and I went outside to get my wife back into the house. Officer Lawrence pulled her taser on me, told me to get in my house. I went back in the doorway. Still upset, I was yelling at my wife to get back in the house. Officer Lawrence came up to me at the door yelling at me. She put her chest up against me and a natural instincts I pushed back. She pushed me back into my kitchen, put cuffs on me so tight I was losing circulation. I was in my boxer shorts. I told her I have never been arrested in my life. Could I please put some clothes on? She refused and pushed me out the door into the squad car. The whole time I'm asking her to loosen the cuffs. She pushed me into the back of the car. The car in sideways comes a big guy. I couldn't hardly fit in there. I was laying on the seat. Again, I asked her to loosen the cuffs. She turned her car stereo up so loud that she couldn't hear me. I was able to motion the white officer who opened up the door and loosened my cuffs. I took to the station, listening to rap music blaring the whole time. When I got to the station, I was in a holding cell. I began to ask for water. I had taken medicine. When this happened, I was refused water. The officer came into the white officer came into the office and said, "I'm asking for water." He told Lawrence there was water in the fridge. She snapped at him saying, "Not getting anything." Okay? They were discussing who was going to take me to 33rd Street. Officer number said, "He's pretty fat. We're going to need an SUV." Still asking for water, Officer 3 looked at me in the face and said, "I don't give a blank what you want." I noticed a sign on the cell, "If you need medical attention," to let them know. I told them I was having chest pains and they called paramedics. When they arrived, put me on the gurney, handcuffed both of my hands to the gurney, then put me in the ambulance. Again, I asked for water. They also refused me water. Took me to the hospital. That's it. 3 minutes. Then they put me in a bed, handcuffed both sides of my hands to the bed. Nurse came in and said, "We're behind. I'll have to wait for the doctor to come in." I had to use the restroom. I asked, there was an officer sitting outside, a Ocoee officer sitting out my room, asked him to take me to the restroom. I was told that it was company policy, they had to have 2 officers present before they could take me to the restroom. So they gave me a little cup, and it would only uncuff one hand so I could try to pee in the cup. Well, that didn't work. I peed all over myself. Nurse finally came back. She gave me a cup of water, put an EKG on me and said doctor would be shortly. Hour and a half passed, came. They wanted to admit me to the hospital. I refused and signed the form. 2 Orange County officers showed up in a van, put shackles on my legs, locked things around my wrist, took me to jail, in my boxers still. Went through booking.
Mr. Marbase, I'll give you an extra minute. I'll give you 4, but that's it.
Oh, no, come on, Mayor.
Mr. Marbase.
No,
Mr.
All right,
Marbase.
then have the cops take me out. This is all on TV, right?
I don't know.
No, what do you mean you don't know? You're the mayor.
Hey, I know.
It's all recorded. It's all on Ocoee
It's
channel.
recorded.
Why isn't it on Ocoee
Your
TV?
time's up, Mr. Marbase. We're not gonna argue with you. Everybody gets the same times, 3 minutes. I give you 4. Everybody's got your letter. Everybody got your letter today, so they'll read it. All right. So,
Come take me out.
I'm not taking you out. I'm telling you to sit down.
I'll tell the officer to
No,
take me out.
that's your business.
Okay,
All right, next.
No problem.
Next up. Regional sports.
Oh, another person, I couldn't even breathe. You put them on so hard. But you all think it's a joke, right? No, why? Why don't you come to my house for 2 months?
a month, I've been asking someone to investigate my case. Nobody. I haven't heard a call from
I'm
nobody.
trying to. All right, sorry about that.
I'm sorry about nothing.
All right,
This one's on the agenda.
that's on the agenda, so that's it for that. All right, we'll go to the consent agenda. Anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion for approval on the consent agenda, here's a second.
I'm sorry, I do have an item that I need to address for the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting from November 15th.
Which one are you pulling?
Number one.
All right, pulling number one, that's it?
That's it.
That's it? All right, we're gonna go for number 2, 3, all the way down through 11. We're gonna make, the motion is to do 2 through 11, then we'll come back and do 1. Do I hear a second on
I'll second it.
the, seconded by Commissioner Fershner? Any more comments on those? If not, let's vote. All right, motion carries unanimously. Okay, Commissioner Oliver, item number 1.
Just a correction to the minutes from November 15th, right at about 3 hours, 15 minutes, and about 3 hours, it was 3 hours, 27 minutes and 15 seconds. There was a discussion going on concerning payment for the church. I think that at that juncture, the mayor mentioned that the church needed to be paid, and it was concerning the invoices. I did agree to that the church definitely needed to be paid, but I did make a mistake. I stated that the church had already been paid. That was not true. They had not been paid, so it's been brought to my attention, so I needed a correction in the minutes to make sure that that get corrected.
Where is that in the writing part, may I ask?
It's not in the writing. It's actually a part of the actual recorded video. So I think the recorded video is public record, and it is also a legal document as well. So that needs to be corrected. I don't know how we would
Yeah,
correct it.
Commissioner, I think you've done that, you've corrected that here
Okay.
on this meeting, but the minutes themselves don't reference that
Gotcha.
conversation, so I think we can approve the minutes, and you've corrected the statement that was recorded.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All
So
right, you
make a motion that we accept the minutes for
All right,
the
motion made by Commissioner
November
Oliver
15th meeting.
for item number 1, approval of the minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any more comments? Any more comments? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, we're going to item number 12, first reading of ordinances. First reading of ordinance for Howard property, 8708 AD Mims Road, annexation and rezoning. This will be the first reading. We do not vote on it tonight. We vote on it on January the 17th. So this will be just, you gonna read the?
Yep, I'll read the title to the annexation ordinance. We have an annexation ordinance and a rezoning ordinance with this item. The annexation ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real properties containing approximately 2.25 acres located on the south side of 80 Mims Road, beginning approximately 160 feet west of Prairie Lake Boulevard. Finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, the Ocoee City Code, and the Joint Planning Area Agreement, providing for and authorizing the updating of official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances, and providing for an effective date. And the rezoning ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County A1 Citrus Rural District to City of Ocoee R1AA single-family dwelling district on certain real property containing approximately 2.25 acres located on the south side of 80 Mims Road, beginning approximately 160 feet west of Prairie Lake Boulevard, finding such zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of this official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this will be brought back on January 17th for the second reading. Anybody has any comments, that'll be the time to do it. All right, let's Move down to item 13, first reading of ordinance for a substantial amendment to the Ocoee Town Shops PUD for a Wawa gas station use. Development Service Director Reuben.
Again, this is just first reading. I'll go ahead and read the ordinance. This is an ordinance for a substantial amendment to the Ocoee Town Shops PUD. An ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, approving a substantial amendment to the land use plan for the Ocoee Town Shops Plan Unit Development for certain real property comprising approximately 3.39 acres and located on the northwest corner of South Clark Road and West Colonial Drive, State Road 50, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner, amending the Ocoee Town Shops PUD LUP to allow a Wawa gas station use on Lot 1 of the PUD, finding consistency with the commercial future land use map designation for the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
All right, the same thing. This will be coming back on January 17th for the second reading, and then anybody who wants to have comments, we'll open the public hearing. All right, move on down to item 14. First reading of ordinance for the comprehensive plan amendment, adoption of the 5-year schedule of capital improvements and updated to capital improvement element. Zoning Manager Whitfield.
I'll read the title to this. We're just doing first reading. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan as adopted in 1991 as amended in order to comply with Section 163.31773 Florida statutes, amending the capital improvements element of the comprehensive plan, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
All right, same thing. First issue, it'll be back January 17th for the second reading, then we'll be open for public hearing. All right, we're gonna move on down to regular agenda, item 15, approval of moratorium of understanding between Montier Development PLLC and City of Ocoee regarding a regional sports and entertainment complex and mixed-use development deal which would consist of a number of baseball fields and related facilities, hotels, retail buildings, and parking garage. Development Services Director Roomer and Shadrick.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the commission. Craig Shadricks, Assistant City Manager. I am leading off this agenda item tonight as it is a project of regional significance like we haven't seen in years, arguably since the West Oaks Mall. And what you have before you tonight is an agreement that was prepared by the city attorney to allow for the construction of a regional sports complex and accompanying town center. And this agreement is of no risk to the city, and it is set up articulately such that when the Chevron property gives us a contract, we're able to assign it to Montier Development, along with putting in the property that we own, that's approximately 37 acres located on Ocoee Poplar Road, known as the Rogers property. And Montier Development will take those two properties, in addition to other properties that they would acquire along the roadway, and they would construct a regional sports complex and a town center project to support it. And this project will be gone over by Mr. Jamie Douglas with Montier Development, and his team is all present tonight. We have had several discussions with he and his team. He will be prepared to go over with you how this partnership would work. It is of great financial interest to the city, in addition to the economic impact that it will have. And to kind of pass the lead off to Mike Roomer, who's going to introduce Jamie, we've spent a considerable amount of staff time talking about the technical aspects of impacts relating to such a project. And Mike's going to touch on some of those and what Montier Development has agreed to in this agreement, and then pass it off to Jamie, who's going to give you an overview of the project. So to kind of summarize, we're asking the commission to approve this memorandum of understanding that will allow us to obtain a contract with Chevron, assign that contract to Montier Development, and then we will be throwing in our 37 acres that we currently own that's undeveloped recreation acreage. Mike will talk about that for a brief moment. And then we will agree to be paid based on the program that Jamie is going to go over with you. So there's great benefit economically, there's great financial benefit, and there's very little risk if Montier is unable to secure a user and move forward, then everything remains status quo. And so I will be officially going on the record here and making a staff recommendation of approval. Mr. Rumor.
Thank you, Mike Rimmer, Development Services Director. And just want to follow up on what Assistant City Manager Craig Shadrick said. And I heard a word about this, an example or a nice word to coin this project. It's not bringing unsavory guests to Ocoee. This is falling in line with our vision of our business character area to make family and economic commerce an important part of the city. And this is going to tie in great with other uses we have to bring families to Ocoee. And again, at no cost to the city and no to very low exposure to the city at this point with this agreement that's in front of you. This, you have we will be passing out the presentation to you here, and you will see that with the number of ball fields and the opportunity for a national user and management company, we will have, this will be driving a lot of guests to the city of Ocoee. And primarily, this discussion with Montier Development and Jamie Douglas has been going on for exactly 1 year. And from the outset, we said infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. And with that, there is a recognition that Ocoee-Apopka Road will have to be widened to a 4- and 3-lane facility, as well as Fuller's Cross Road, the extension of Worst Road. The Ocoee-Apopka from that widening would go from West Road down to Franklin Street. Significant utility upgrades, upgrade to the lift station at Klinger Cove, 2 new lift stations, upsizing of lines, running new lines. And so there's a lot of infrastructure that you guys will see after this next step if you so do approve of this agreement. And with that, the land, the 37 acres that we are looking to provide to the developer once they meet milestones, which he will show you in his presentation, we will be paid back over 10 years. That land is designated as park space, and a good portion of it will remain public access park space with this plan. But it also does provide usable, healthy activity space for residents and people, so it will not diminish our level of service within our Parks and Recreation element. And look forward to discussing future opportunities with this project as we go along. I'd like to introduce you to Jamie Douglas, the owner of Montier Development. He has a professional background in baseball. This item in this regional sports complex built to a national level is geared towards baseball, softball, Little League, and such. There will be an activity field that other events can be taken place on, but I will turn it over to Jamie and get this presentation underway. Thank you for your attention.
Good evening. First and foremost, we want to thank each of you and the great city of Ocoee for inviting us to present today. Good. We want to next thank you for this opportunity and to thank you for your service to our great nation. Equally important, though, is your service as a leader of this community, your service and expansion of business opportunities, and your service and dedication to the youth of the city of Ocoee. This evening, we want to share a big idea with you. First, some background. According to the Sports Events and Tourism Association, in 2021, there was $39.7 billion of direct spending impact from amateur youth sports tourism in the United States. Florida constitutes a large portion of this. In addition, 91.8 billion, exactly roughly 2.5 times direct spending, is the total economic impact. This results in 635,000 jobs and $12.9 billion in tax revenue for local economies. These numbers are estimated to nearly double by the year 2026, reaching $77.6 billion in direct spending and around $150 billion in economic impact. This is a significant growth in a short period of time. Our big idea would join these incredible projections with the future of this city of Ocoee and their leadership's commitment to youth programs and business development. We are the Montier Development Team, and representing us today is Anne-Marie Douglas, Brian Martinez, and myself, Jamie Douglas. The big idea, our vision, is to bring the largest sports complex of its kind on the East Coast, second largest in the country, to the city of Ocoee. It will be a development that allows the patron spending to stay right here in Ocoee. While the Ocoee Regional Sports Complex will initially be developed around travel baseball, it is merely a cornerstone of what is possible. From this starting point, the future opportunity for Ocoee regarding the travel sports industry in general is tremendous. Not only could the travel sports industry be extremely impactful to the financial growth of this community, but it would be impacted very little by recessions, and more importantly, would be built around family structure. Now let me show you what our vision is. Our vision is to bring a mixed-use venture that consists of sports, mixed-use commercial, and a promenade. The Ocoee Regional Sports Complex will consist of 16 high-level turfed baseball fields, batting cages for participants, multi-purpose fields for city use, an inclusive recreational park and playground, a splash pad area, and a welcome center for patrons. On the mixed-use side, it will consist of a promenade with a downtown ambiance to it, 2 hotels with an estimated 400 rooms, 7 restaurant retail buildings, 6 office retail spaces that are located in the first floors of the hotels and parking garages, and 2 parking garages with an estimated 1,600 parking spaces. With this type of venture comes great public benefits. First, a healthy community. First, we want to talk about creating a healthier community. Healthier children grow to be healthier adults and more civically minded. With this venture, it will promote sports and physical activity. Along with this, it will provide more passive and active recreation opportunities with open green spaces perfect for after-school activities. With this being a family-structured complex, you will see more positive social engagements with family from all across the country and even outside of the country. It will create experiences and relationships with a wide diversity of people for local citizens. Job creation. Between the sports and mixed-use portion of this venture, we estimate a large number of temporary and permanent new jobs that range from upper-scale pay all the way down to part-time jobs for our youth. Environmental. Our main priority for this project is to ensure the well-being of this great city of Ocoee. That being said, one of the key factors is to clean up all the properties and provide beautiful use as much of the project as possible, ranging from microhabitats to new stormwater system that will allow for future expansion outside of the project so that it creates a positive impact for all. Economic benefits. Travel baseball is one of the fastest growing and most lucrative industries in the country. It brings in massive spending in the areas these events are held. Destination place. Florida has become the mecca of travel baseball. The Ocoee Sports Complex will become the second largest complex in the country. With that comes the notoriety of that label. Participants and their family will visit from all across the globe and see the city of Ocoee as the hub of travel baseball. Between the sports side of this and the convenience of having lodging, food, and entertainment on the same property, the Ocoee Regional Sports Complex will be the top destination for anyone associated with travel baseball and beyond. We will also make it a point of focus for the community pride in this, and this is why we named it the Ocoee Regional Sports Complex. The infrastructure. The benefit of expansion of roads and infrastructure gives this project not only the proper method of controlling and optimizing traffic, but it allows for future expansion for the city going forward. This expansion will also upgrade sidewalks, streetscape, pedestrian paths, and enhance landscape features. The project location is the properties known as the Chevron property and the city-owned parcels known as the Rogers property, along with several privately owned parcels. How do we get there? First, we will need the city of Ocoee to assign the Chevron land purchase contract to Montier Development once it is finalized. Once this has been completed, Montier Development will assume responsibility of the property. Number two, at the time Montier Development closes on the property, the city of Ocoee would then deed over the Rogers property to Montier for the use in this venture. Once those items are complete, then Montier Development will begin by starting the expansion of the roadways and infrastructure along with the proper MOT program to keep traffic in the city working as efficiently as possible. Along with this, we will complete the contamination of the Chevron property at all applicable and state and federal levels. Following the remediation, Montier will construct a national level mixed-use sports project with minimal risk and no cost exposure for the city of Ocoee. At the completion of the Ocoee Regional Sports Complex, the city of Ocoee will receive annual profit sharing revenue, tax revenue, and minimally fluctuating economic income revenue. Also, Montier Development will pay $8 million to the city of Ocoee over the first decade post-venture completion for the deeded Rogers property. Let's review the details on the roadway expansion. So what we'll be doing with the roadway and infrastructure expansion, we will be expanding Ocoee-Apopka Road from West Road down to Franklin Street. The next step in the expansion will be East Fuller Cross Road from the intersection at Ocoee-Apopka Road over to Lakewood Avenue. We will also be constructing the proper adjustments to Franklin Street from Ocoee-Apopka Road to 429. This will create three main passages from the complex, two major highway systems that has minimal impact to the city of Ocoee's citizens. Our team experience, along with the highest qualified contractors, we will also have one of the nation's top sports complex teams. Our team's current national impact includes accommodating over 25 million guest visits annually, 485,000 hotel nights booked yearly, and 40 plus properties of this kind currently managed annually. Our project manager for this complex construction in a previous role led the development of all three Ripken Experience facilities located in Aberdeen, Myrtle Beach, and Pigeon Forge. Please see below a few of our team's current facilities. Key benefits. In summary, the key benefits, go back one. Oh, never mind. In summary, the key benefits that the individuals of Ocoee will receive from the Ocoee Regional Sports Complex consists of an estimated 1,096 jobs. Homes that are close to new office, hotel, restaurant developments show an 18 to 40% increase in value from homes close to rural and industrial developments. Home values that have a walkable downtown tend to raise an additional 10% as well. This complex will be adding 8.7 acres of park and recreational space with the multi-use fields and inclusive playground area. In addition to the added 8.7 acres, we will also be building 2 new baseball fields for the city of Ocoee's youth sports program at Vignetti Park. Upgraded infrastructure and roadways for better traffic patterns and storm water management. For the financial benefit, the city of Ocoee will receive an increase in over $1.6 million in property tax annually from what is being generated now for this location. It will create a huge draw for additional developers and investors to participate in future expansion of the city's needs and downtown projects. With the number of patrons that will be estimated to participate in events at the Ocoee Regional Sports Complex, economic impact numbers are projected to be in the range of $500 million and $900 million annually. And lastly, Montier will also provide a profit-sharing program with the city of Ocoee that is estimated to be between $300 million and $600 million annually for no less than 30 years. Now we've discussed who, what, where, and how. It's time to discuss when. With the demand of facilities like the Ocoee Regional Sports Complex, due to the current path of the youth sports industry, it would be greatly beneficial if we started as quickly as possible. As of right now, we anticipate that we could start this project as early as late 2023, finish the Ocoee Regional Sports Complex sports side by 2024, and have a full completion of the entire venture by the end of 2025. To make this a reality, time would be of the essence. Upon completion, this is our vision for Ocoee. This rendering would be a bird's eye view of the northwest corner of the project overlooking the intersection of Ocoee Road, Ocoee-Apopka Road, and Fuller's Cross Road. Here you will see the southwest corner overlooking the sports complex. As you can see, we plan to make this facility the highest quality and make this a destination for Ocoee to be proud of. Thank you for your time and attention, and let us create a low risk, no cost, maximum revenue venture for your city on city property. Thank you.
Ryan, you want to talk next?
If you guys have any questions.
Mike, you want the commissioners?
That's the presentation? Yes.
All right,
Yes.
all right, commissioners. Comments?
Do you have any comments from the public on this?
Huh?
Are there any public comments on this one?
This is a regular item. It's not a public hearing.
Not
Oh,
public,
okay,
sir.
okay.
So it gives us a chance to present and discuss, and not under consent.
All right, commissioners.
Okay, I'll go first. Is that okay? I know we talked about infrastructure a lot. You know how I feel about your project. I like it, I love it, can't get enough of it. However, this project will bring a lot of traffic. You spoke about a 1,600 space parking garage. That's a lot of people trying to dump out onto those roads. So can you assure us that this infrastructure will be addressed properly to accommodate that additional incredible amount of traffic?
Absolutely. We are prepared to meet all the city requirements and the traffic requirements of this, and it will be based off previous facilities. Our complex design team is the same team that designed and managed the largest complex in the country, in Texas, and they will be on our team for this facility. So it will be held at the top of the priority list to be able to get people in and out of this facility.
And Commissioner, as well, as part of the development process, which will come through here as a large scale, that we will have the associated transportation studies to show that. This site will have a minimum of 4 entrance and exit spots, but we are going to be able to have those relief valves go to the north, to the west, to the south, and to the east to utilize Ocoee-Apopka, Fuller's Cross Road, Claricona, Ocoee, North Lakewood, Franklin Street.
Okay, because that answers my next question is the egress, ingress into this area, not just into the park, but into the area. Because not everyone who will be traveling in that area will be going to those ball fields. And what I don't want is to have people backed up in traffic because everyone else on that road is trying to get to that ball field. So I want to make sure that, that's on the record that we did talk about the infrastructure needs of a project such as this. Because the right-of-way, even though they may have been, may be acquired, it's a lot of road to to improve. This is not a improving of the road. This is the widening of the road.
Yes.
So that's a big difference than just repaving it and putting
We'll
some
be
lines
making
in.
most lanes a 4-lane road,
Okay.
with. and
With
we'll
turning
have-
lanes?
Excuse me?
With turning lanes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, because that's really what.
And
is
full
part-
signalization throughout the whole process.
Stop it,
with
now
all
you're just
studies.
showing off. Now you're just showing off. So that's a big thing for me. I know, here in the city, it kind of goes into this. We got Crown Point Parkway that will be eventually punched through. That will be other people in those northern communities going to be trying to use that, either go to Winter Garden, come down into Ocoee, City Center, or going out east. So we want to make sure that that's addressed as well. I know Mike, he mentioned unsavory guests. I don't know what that meant. That kind of took me aback.
Just like, we're not coming forward asking you to start the new Ocoee Bike Fest or something like that. This is a family a family atmosphere. Baseball is like American is apple pie, and just good family fun.
Yeah, got you. Tracking like a VCR, for those who know what the VCR is. You mentioned this also, and I think some people get it, but some people may not, but if you can discuss this part. You compared this and mentioned the Ripken experience. What exactly is that?
So their existing facilities all over the country. I'm sorry.
Who is Ripken?
Oh, Cal Ripken.
Okay, we want to start at the beginning, not in the middle. Okay.
Cal Ripken, one of the greatest and long-lasting baseball players. So these facilities do great things for the youth in Pigeon Forge, Myrtle Beach, and Aberdeen, and they are a great impact on the development of youth and travel sports. So the individuals that put that together, I think it's important to stress that point, that the individuals that put that together that has been so successful on a national level is going to be the same individuals that are going to be doing this project. So there's no expense, there's no, there's no, shortcuts taken. We're bringing in this best team, and we're gonna provide the best facility that humanly possible.
Yeah, and I, again, we've talked, and you've briefed me, on this. I've had some kind of tough questions for you, but I love the fact that you're coming in, you're gonna, not only put in the infrastructure, but also some lift stations and the other. I think that's the way developers should do it. So I appreciate that. And the last thing I have is, and I talked with you before, so it's not a gotcha moment, is this is a very aggressive timeline.
Correct.
And and you have as long as all the good stuff goes well, such as the acquisition of property and then the transfer of title and deed, that goes well, you can meet this 2025 end date?
The end of 2025, we absolutely anticipate that. We'll have multiple contractors working on the site. We'll have a team strictly building the complex, and we'll have a team strictly building the commercial mixed-use side. So they won't cross over, they will work together, and we will provide a construction management oversight committee that will make sure both sides of the aisle meets their schedule and sticks to it.
Okay. Well, again, thank you for choosing Ocoee. Hopefully we can make this happen if the rest of the commission thinks it's appropriate, but I think it's maybe a great deal for the city and the region.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I don't think I have too many questions. In full disclosure, we did meet the other day, and I think most of my questions were answered as we went along. The way I look at it is you're doing splash pad, the playground, which will be accessible to our residents. It's something we've been talking about here, and we have not had that opportunity or funds to do that within the city. When we purchased the Rogers property, the intent was for a sports field. We just have not financially been able to do it. We've used it for the haunted house. If you don't know what the property is, it's the haunted house that's probably being held together by staples right now from all the years we used it. But that's the property. And again, the plan when we were going to buy, when we bought it was for that purpose. So this is just, again, to me, exciting. And I'm, again, hoping we can move forward with this.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Forster.
I can attest to the popularity of travel ball for youth. My two grandsons up in New York both play, and they're on numerous teams. And they travel from New York down to Ripken in Maryland every year, several times. They've traveled all the way down to Atlanta. So I can see this generating the interest of a lot of people in the country. It's there. The people spend the money on this like there's no tomorrow. It's a very good venture. I'm very impressed with Montier and the project that they presented us. I don't see any downside to this. I'm for it, and I'd like to see it proceed.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Oliver.
Like my other fellow commissioners, I think that this is a project that, that we can possibly get behind, but again, don't want to be the Grinch that stole Christmas about this, but he finally did. He came over to the good side eventually, right? But I'm going to have to start off asking a few questions.
Yes, sir.
I know we met and you gave us full disclosure, and I really appreciate that, and thank you so much for your presentation tonight. And I want to start off with this timeline. As Commissioner Benson did state, it is a very aggressive timeline, and you did state as to how you plan on attacking that timeline. One of the things I do have a question regarding that particular property is we've had over the years several presentations and projects that possibly for that particular property. And one of the issues we've ran into several occasions is always the cleanup. It's formerly I guess it was Kimberly, it was a contaminated land.
Yes, sir.
So again, understanding what goes into taking land that is contaminated with something and then cleaning it up to make it shovel ready for this type of project. One thing you didn't mention, I didn't hear, is how do you plan on cleaning up, getting all the geological surveys and economic or the ecological surveys to get a stamp of approval that you can start turning dirt on this particular property using this aggressive timeline?
So it would be one of the first items that we address as soon as the Chevron contract is in order. So we would move on that. We would get the documentations, and there would be recommendations on cleanup. We do have experience in this matter. We had a team remove soils in Pahokee, Florida. We built a building in that area, and we had to do soil cleanup and contamination extensively in that area. So we are familiar with this. The information that we're privy to indicates that it's not as, to that extent. So we feel very comfortable in either removing dirt and bringing in clean fill, or any recommendations that the state and federal proposal mandates.
And that's a great response, which kind of brings me to my next question would be, looking at it from that standpoint, because again, we have lots of projects that we have here and end up in change orders and expansions or expansion of time in the projects because of things happen. When you start digging, you usually find a lot of things that you didn't know was there.
Sure.
And what that does is it expands the timeline of the project. So that right there, what I would identify that as one of your risks. That's a risk, that's a weakness, expanding the timeline. Does that mean that it's going to stop the project, hold the project? I don't know that. Maybe you may find it out once you started digging in the dirt. So again, I just want to be mindful that that is a risk. Sure. that you take and that we take by entertaining a partnership with this project that I think we all love. So I know I've heard your strengths, I've heard your opportunities here, and by all rights, you should be presenting your project that way. But I have to look at the risk, and I have to look at how you're going to mitigate the risk. how you're going to stick within that timeline, or at least give us a more of a realistic timeline beyond, a early 2023 to 2025 start and finish.
Correct.
So I have to look at it from that standpoint. I just want to make that comment. Also, you mentioned builders. Have you identified any local builders that you may partner with? I know you mentioned you have builders with other projects, but my interest is here in Ocoee, West Orange County, contractors, builders, developers locally, right here. I like to keep money as much as we can in our communities.
Absolutely.
So have you identified local contractors and builders that can help with this project?
Absolutely. I actually started my career in construction in Orlando, in Oviedo for Wilson and Company. So I started my career here, and a lot of my colleagues still own businesses here. So we know exactly who we're going to solicit in this area. And there's several in this area that we plan on using on this project.
Okay.
And the only the only team that would be out of this area would be in Tampa, and that would just be a management team. Our construction management team will be here in Central Florida, located in Oviedo as well. And then in the greater area of Central Florida, we will keep all contracting here primarily.
You mentioned Oviedo. That's East Orlando. I'm interested in West Orlando.
Absolutely. And no, there's several contractors that I've already talked to in the last 24 hours.
West Orange County.
In Apopka area and south. So we will be sending out proposal invites, and we will consider all parties.
And you mentioned the mixed-use portion of your project. You went toward mixed use. What did that consist of? I heard it, but I didn't get all the information on it.
So the mixed use will consist of a promenade. So we're going a promenade that will split the complex, the baseball side of it, from the commercial entertainment side of it. So it will consist of a promenade with a downtown feel. It'll be a walkable roadway that has benches. The restaurants will be, tables outside. It'll be a very nice ambiance to it. And then it'll have two hotels at 400 rooms, 200 rooms apiece. That's an estimated amount. We're obviously going to do the design process and determine variances that's going to either limit us or allow us to do more. We'll find that out as soon as the design aspect of this goes into place. We're going to build 7 restaurant retail, so it's either going to be restaurant. We're going to have a mix of restaurants. We're going to make it as a community feel. You can go get something to eat. There's going to most likely be a laundromat. There's going to be an arcade. There's going to be retail stores that people can shop at. We want it to where the children come and play baseball with their parents to watch, but then the parents also have somewhere to go and get away from the baseball fields. And that's one of the biggest problems in the country with a lot of these complexes, is that they have to drive 30 minutes to get away from baseball. We're right here on Ocoee ground, staying right there, spending money at the complex, and walking right across the street to spend money at the commercial side. And with the hotels and the parking, the city's going to get a $20 a night fee for every hotel room. And we estimate between 6,000 and 10,000 individuals coming in and out of the facility, these hotel rooms are going to be a premium stay location. So the city's going to benefit greatly with that revenue share, and then with the parking as well.
We talked about that during your presentation when
Yes,
you
sir.
presented to us, and you didn't. I don't think you mentioned it, but I wanted you to say that. I actually wanted the general public to hear that portion of your
Correct.
presentation. So thank you for
Yes,
that. And just like Commissioner Ferguson said, I've done a little research on this. I have a couple of my neighbors that actually do travel ball. So you're talking about $91.8 billion in 2021 that this industry generated in the United States alone.
Yes, sir.
So and I know that there's other countries that's doing this as well. But yeah, you're talking 91.8 billion. But that includes other sports as well, like soccer and even And we talked about that. We talked soccer and
Absolutely.
basketball and volleyball, and we talked about cornhole. That's one of the things, one of the emerging sports, if it is such a thing as a sport. But thank you so much. I appreciate your presentation.
Yes, sir, thank you.
I don't want to take too much more of your time because most all the commissioners have brought up the main things, but the main things to me is the infrastructure on the roads getting fixed, especially Ocoee Pop Road, which is not ours. It's Orange County, which it's overloaded as it is with all the traffic that comes out of Apopka and Ocoee. So that's one of the main things that interests me. The other thing is the jobs, being able to have that kind of jobs out of our town and I hope you give preference to the locals that will be.
Of course.
We can have them looking for the jobs. Also, it's very unusual that you have projects come in here that they offer a revenue share back to us. I don't know if I've seen one of those since I stood up here, which is very unusual, and I appreciate that very much.
Yes, sir.
Where it turns back, we take the money back into the city and utilize it. It also is a recreation activity for a lot of youth. There'll be all kind out there, and that's another great thing. I think I was telling somebody the other day out in Burleson, Texas, which is the same size as the city. They have something similar to that, but in the recreation, in the food deal, they have a thing where the kids work and get paid. And they turn $10,000 a month out of that little concession stand back to the city.
Absolutely.
Just out of that little concession stand.
Sure.
So you can imagine what this can be and what it is. So I know most of the Little League and big group leagues nowadays are hurting because of travel baseball, and that's what everybody's going into is the travel baseball, which I think is a great thing. And I think it's something that we would enjoy. I would say also that a long time ago, maybe 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, our mayor at the time was Tom Ison, who tried to bring something similar to this in with baseball, spring training, and that kind of things out on the same road, matter of fact. But back in those days, nobody wanted to hear that. So here we are today, and thank goodness you came along. And that's what we need. So I want to thank you very much. What we need to do here is, I think local builders, you will find a lot of them around here. You know, like you said, you were in that. You also went to UCF, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
My wife and I are both graduates from UCF.
Okay. So I think you'll find plenty of local builders in this area. It's a big construction area. So I don't want to take up more time. I think it's a great opportunity for all of us, the city. It'll benefit the city and benefit you and the residents. So what we need to do, Craig, is get not a consensus, but I need a motion.
You need to take a vote on the agreement as proposed.
What I'm gonna do is ask the city attorney to read off what the motion should be.
Sure, so this would be a motion consistent with staff recommendation to approve the memorandum of understanding between Montier Development and the city of Ocoee for a regional sports and entertainment complex. So just by way of clarification, this is just the first of many times this is gonna come to you as part of the planning process. It'll be treated just like any other development in the city, so you'll see it again. The agreement with with Chevron will come back before you. This is just the first step that we are indicating a partnership with Montier Development to realize this project. So this is just the first step, just approval of the memorandum of understanding.
All right. Read that motion off one more time.
This is a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Montier Development and the city of Ocoee regarding a regional sports and entertainment complex pursuant to staff recommendation.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner First. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
You wanna go ahead? Between us, we seconded it.
Well, we have a joint second by Commissioner Wilson and Commissioner Brenson. All right, now let's vote. Amen. Full commission. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, you let us know what else we gotta do, Craig. Will do. All right, thank you. We're gonna take a 5-minute break before we go into the next couple items. 5-minute break. Bill.
you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
How's your Thanksgiving? Quiet? Quiet is good. I like quiet. I love quiet.
Call the meeting back to order. We're on item 16, discussion and direction regarding an invoice for the Ocoee Remembrance Events and Unity Festival. City Manager Frank.
Yes, Mayor, at the last meeting, by consensus, the City Commission asked me to get with Ms. Yan and get a copy of the invoices and/or receipts for vendors that may not have been paid yet or have been partially paid. So she did give me some of that information, which I forwarded to you, and you have that for consideration tonight.
All right, I have a Jennifer Young.
Good evening. Okay. Well, I'm going to just read a letter that I sent to the city back on November 17th, addressed to Mr. Franks when I provided all the receipts. The last year working with the city of Ocoee has caused a tremendous amount of anxiety and emotional stress. I have lost lots of sleep, not to mention other business opportunities. I have worked with great uncertainty, while my professionalism has been disrespected and disregarded. When I came into your office, Mr. Frank, on October 20th, 2022, with Commissioner Oliver, you seemed very understanding and apologetic for what I've been experiencing. You asked me bluntly, would the city be on the hook for the balance? I answered yes. This is not a Jennifer Yan agency event. This was a City of Ocoee event. At that time, I didn't feel that I would have any issues being paid. I did the same thing that I did last year and provided the same information, but yet this year I'm asked to provide a whole lot more different, which I have no problem with that. I left the office really under the assumption that there would be no issues for rendering service. Leaving that meeting, not only was I really emotional to drive, but I had to explain to vendors why we are still a month out and still their payments are still not covered. This project has embarrassed my brand and is continuing to jeopardize my future business if balances are not cleared immediately. Through the whole ordeal, Mayor Johnson, you repeatedly called asking me to downsize the events, which I was stated from the city manager you should not have been doing. I had not even mentioned how rude I was treated the last time when my mic was cut off during the update of the event. I do not understand how all of this is possible under the current management. I have been called overly ambitious by Commissioner Frischner, which again, I thank you for the support that you did give the money that helped the event. Commissioner Rosemary, you've constantly made disparaging comments about how the descendants should remember their ancestors. So I've spent a lot of time talking to descendants that have watched the meeting. The festival was intended to bring unity, which it did. However, it was not recognized or attended at all by any of the white leadership, including yourself. I was privileged to work on this event last year, and with the HRDB collaborated extremely well with me during that time. When the new members joined the board, it seemed the difficulties began. From the beginning, Scott Kennedy and Brad Lumnick made it very clear of their mission to dismantle the board, which I see the city has allowed to happen. In addition to that, instead of allowing HR to address the disruptive members of the board, you have allowed the commission to devise a plan to eliminate the most productive and supportive member, Jay Carr, who worked very well and closely with me in making this a success. The sad part is both Scott Kennedy and Mayor Rusty Johnson befriended me, called me repeatedly with the same request, encouraging me to get the others to follow the mission. However, now I don't get a call at all. I wonder why. It is obvious that they did not want to remember what happened 100 years ago, which can be understood if you want to live in hate. When I was brought in originally, I provided a full event with multiple ways to raise money, a little over $100,000. If I was supported the same way the music festival is supported, we would not be here today. Ocoee Music Festival vendors Be Creative was paid $15,000 and Four Wall Entertainment LLC was paid $20,000, both white companies. I've served both of those roles, and neither of those companies as of today, since I've been attending the commission meetings, have came and presented. Can you please explain to me why and how can I mimic their process? So are we not treading these waters again? Nevertheless, the Ocoee Remembers Unity Day Festival ran smoothly and with enormous success. I hope the bright light shining on this year's festivities is not darkened by personal agendas and politics. We had news coverage from Channel 13, Orange Observer, WFT News, and lots of residents got online and put directly on the City of Ocoee's Facebook page how they enjoyed it. At this point, I feel harassed, I feel discriminated against, and I was very naive in thinking all of the leaders in Ocoee were on the same page, wanting to remember, educate, heal, unite, and celebrate the lives lost. The same way the Ocoee Music Festival is celebrated. I was wrong, and excuse my French, it really hurts like hell. I recall sitting through a commission meeting where the finance director, Rebecca Roberts, stated she keeps no records of sponsorship dollars collected by the music festival. Why is that? Yet, as an African American business, I'm scrutinized. I have been requested a breakdown from High Point Church as to where their $8,000 was spent. And as of now, my role has been clearly disregarded because they have not responded. As an entrepreneur, I understand and respect bookkeeping. However, my request should undergo the same as all other vendors. Last year, again, none of this was the issue, and it feels that certain individuals do not want this event to grow. I really pray that is not you. To date, Jennifer Young Agency has collected $38,000 from Ocoee Remembers event. Attached are all the invoices, the copies of money orders, explanations of honorariums with final invoice. The total expense was $38,047, with an outstanding balance of $27,637. You will see the outline of where that money was spent. In closing, my wish is that you understand the pain. I am disappointed. I am disgusted. And my final ask is that you promptly distribute the balance and the balance of High Point Church. It is noted that no white members of the commission attended the Unity Day Festival, which really saddens me since this is called Unity. How do we get past this? For me, I have been made aware you have the authority to finalize payments under $50,000, and if this is accurate, I pray that you do the right thing. I feel with the proper respect and support from the cause of this event, we can grow to be just like the music festival, and it pay for itself with us providing documents and invoices and receipts along the way. My wish is that we can move on past the obvious discrimination here and focus on how we continue to bring the community together and diverse events. My question tonight is, when will I get paid as well as the other vendors?
All right, anybody make comments? I have two comments here, maybe after anybody up here want to make comments, then I have two more, if necessary, they said. So, any comments from anybody up here?
Are the comments they want to make in
All right,
regards to
I'm
this?
sorry. Any comments up here?
Are the comments that the other two want to make in regards to this presentation?
You me?
No, you said that you have two more speakers.
No, there's two more people that asked if necessary. Do y'all think it's necessary? They're not related to this. They're related to the funding, but not necessarily. Okay, all right. So, anybody on the commission want to speak?
Has these debts been satisfied?
No, this debt has not been satisfied.
Okay. And Rob, can you tell me, speak to that?
I can't speak to too much, Commissioner. The only time I had contact with Ms. Young was the several days after you had authorized the $17,000 expenditure. Unfortunately, city advisory boards operate independently from my office, so I didn't have anything to do with looking at invoices or authorizing what would be paid or anything like that. So I stepped in when Commissioner Oliver brought her into my office, and I kind of expedited that $17,000 check. And that's pretty much the only thing that I had to do with that.
Okay, so, because I'm now I'm a little confused, because it came before us in our last meeting, and we asked for receipts, class invoices, and other things, but it sounds like, was she not in your office after the $17,000? I'm not, this is my question. why didn't you as the city manager just satisfy this before it came to the commission?
I don't have authorization to pay for anything that wasn't budgeted or authorized in the budget, and this wasn't.
So you're not, are you authorized to spend up to $50,000 on something?
Yeah, this was something that you had all discussed about a week prior, and said there was the initial payment, I think, was $17,000 or $16,000, and then you authorized an additional $17,000 with the understanding that, okay, and I think Commissioner Firstner kicked in 5 or 6 of that. Is that true, Commissioner? Yeah.
Yes.
Right, so my only, at that point, you know, I hadn't really seen these invoices or anything to that point, so I just made sure we got that $17,000 check out. I knew there were certain vendors waiting to be paid. I had seen a couple of different versions of what was paid, what wasn't paid, and wasn't sure if the church was paid or not, but I knew you had authorized $17,000, and that's what I made sure was paid.
Okay, and I think I'm referring to a follow-up meeting. I guess Commissioner Oliver and Ms. John came to your office.
There was just the one meeting, yeah, after you authorized the $17,000.
Is that when it was realized that it was a $27,000 or $26,000 balance?
I'm not quite sure. I remember seeing a piece of paper that said there was, the whole cost was higher than the $17,000, but I know there's some discussion at the commission meeting about all the different costs and raising some funds and fundraising, but we paid what the commission authorized at that point.
Okay, do we have anyone from finance here? Going once? No one?
She's here somewhere.
'Cause is she coming? Is that Rebecca?
And let me see if she's here somewhere. Perhaps I can answer the question while we're waiting.
Well, I'd really prefer to hear it from Rebecca. And the reason why is because it seems a little, more than a little odd to me that we're still dealing with this same issue.
She's not here, Commissioner.
Which is also a little odd, especially when we want to talk about money and making payments. The question I would have asked the Director of Finance is, does any other event that the city put on have these same requirements when it comes to paying out? And that's the question I have.
So typically, what would happen is that there'd be a budget for it that was in the city budget, $50,000, $100,000 for this, for whatever this festival is. It would come in maybe partially to pay this invoice or that invoice. There'd be some invoice, or there would be some a receipt for something that they've already paid for, or a purchase order would come through, and that's how those are authorized.
I'm sorry, a purchase order or an invoice? But
Typically, yeah, and there'd probably be both, a purchase order and then an invoice when they receive something.
so what about receipts? Because the invoice and the receipt is similar but not the same. That's the problem I'm having is that this agency seems to be required to give more than any other in the city. And I'm trying to figure out, is that the case or not? And that's why I asked for the finance, because
No, I think staff did exactly what they should do in this case, Commissioner. If someone just hands us a receipt, we don't just pay it, okay? It's something the commission has to put in the budget. If it's not in the budget, you have $50,000 in your contingency that you can allocate towards it. You saw how we came up with the $17,000 that night. I think you took some from contingency. We rolled some over from the previous year, and Commissioner Firstner gave $6,000 from his district funds. The money has to come from somewhere, and someone just giving us a receipt, okay, fine, there's a cost, there's something that happened there, and here's a receipt. If it wasn't budgeted, the commission is the one that has to authorize that to be paid.
okay, yeah, and I.
No, it's true. Just one more thing. So yes, the authorization's there up to $50,000 for things that are budgeted, and a festival that was approved for X amount of dollars. Yes, as the receipts come in, we go ahead and we just pay those. That didn't happen in this. I think part of it was because the advisory board was authorizing some things. Some things were authorized when they came to the commission. Some things were delayed because we may have gotten an invoice but not a receipt. There was no purchase order in the system. It was kind of, as I explained to Ms. Yan, this is probably the most difficult thing to do, where you have an advisory board doing something and assuming that if the advisory board authorizes it, it's okay to pay, or if they come to the commission and give a brief outline of what they're going to do without asking for some type of reimbursement or money from contingency, that doesn't mean it's going to be paid. In this case, I made sure that every dollar the commission told them that they were going to get was paid, and I expedited the last $17,000 check.
Yeah, again, I'm still, because even with the explanation you just gave, it sounds like there's more than one entity asking for payments, and as long as the payments is going for the same purpose and there's some type of accounting system in place, that they should be able to satisfy invoices based on receipts.
The thing that should have happened, there should have been a purchase order to Ms. Yan's agency submitted at some point, probably when you all decided how much you were going to spend on the festival. And if there was a purchase order submitted for whatever number, you would have all had to authorize whatever that purchase order was for, and that was never done.
Right, and then the other part of that is we did set aside monies for cultural events. And with that money being set aside for cultural events, it sounds like this is smack dab in that wheelhouse.
I know we set aside money for cultural events this fiscal year. So that's something new. I don't know that we did last year. So I think what you're saying is.
But wasn't this event held in this fiscal year?
So, yes, it was. So typically, if there's something set aside, hey, if you all want to give staff the authority to do these things, we can. But we defer to the city commission. You put $25,000 in cultural events. If the city commission, city employees were deciding what to pay for that, and then you wanted to have some type of cultural event, and we told you we had already spent the money, I don't think you'd be happy. So there's an understanding that those line items that you put in for cultural events aren't something staff decides, it's something the commission decides. If you wanted to authorize us to do that, that's something different. But a lot of those line items require commission approval.
Okay, let me get my thoughts together. I may have to circle back.
First of all, regarding the white members of the commission that did not attend, 10 months prior, I made cruise plans, so I was not even in the area.
I understand cruise plans.
I want to clarify that I was not boycotting, I was on vacation.
Can I speak?
Thank you.
Because
So I would appreciate
Can I
that,
speak?
go on the record.
And just on the record, again, this was not a Jennifer Yan agency event. This is a monumental event for the city of Ocoee. And I would think that all of the members wanting unity would schedule vacations outside of an event that's set and reserved forever here in the city of Ocoee. That's just my
And I'm going to be missing a
opinion.
few more events for other cruises too. So
I'm
we'll
not
put it on the
there.
record
I just
now
want to
that
get checked.
I probably won't be here for one of the next events either.
Okay.
So, what I have confusion over is that I'm seeing what appears to be what you may have presented, or was presented to us on July 13th, that the event was going to, total due was $30,200. Now, and then with that on the back has the amounts that each event was going to happen, which is still, and also the amount for, High Point Church, excuse me, I keep throwing tower in there, don't I, Pastor? That then we had discussed, and I have another one that's July 19th that was sent, that we have a motion that we were allocating, it looks like $33,000 for this event. So and then I see what you sent to the city, and again, my job here is to be fiscally responsible to our residents. And yes, I am involved in running an event once a year, that we have a budget and we adhere to the budget, and every vendor is a city vendor. So yes, when that was mentioned earlier, I am involved in one, and we strictly adhere to our budget, and no one gets money without being a city vendor, and also the money being in the budget.
I
So,
understand.
just to respond to that, and, I think we're getting very argumentative here, but I think we've been through so many conversations up here where originally it had come before us for $100,000, and we did not agree to that. And what we were agreeing to was, it appears, if I'm correct, the $33,000. And I have no, that's when, my job here is to be fiscally responsible and to account to my residents. And to account to them is to, when we're given a budget, that we should be adhering to that budget. And in this shows that, that was the $7,000, no, I'm sorry, the money for High Point Church. And in that it wasn't paid, but we've appeared, have we already given the $33,000, Rob? We have paid that. So I'm very confused as to your accounting that you have submitted after that, because now you're saying 65, if I'm correct, let me get back to my agenda here. I'm not doing too well on the computer, it flipped over to something. That you're saying that is it 65,000, if that's on the top of my?
Well, I can answer that question. With sitting with the city, I was asked about security. I was asking about cleanup. I was asked about parking. None of those things was in the original contract. So as the event progressed and the requirements that was placed out, the event went up. When I sat with the city manager again, you did see the full list. Me, I would have just expected, if this was something that was wrong, at that point, we could have made an alternative direction versus continuing when the price was there. I don't understand why you can see the difference in the services that needed to be put that wasn't initially aligned to where now the city is requiring, do we have security from the police chief? Who's going to clean the grounds? So other things did come into play. And then with the uncertainty of waiting to the last minute from the original quote in July, mind you, I've been working for a full year, think prices changed. You know, when I go back to look at what the prices and quotes were back at that time to needing now to secure these things 2 weeks or 3 weeks out, the prices are no longer the same. I was told that there is multiple events going on in this town at the same time, which it was, that put a lot of more strain and work hours on my agency.
But can I ask, why did you not come back to us at that point, knowing that we had already allocated $33,000? Why did you not come back to the commission and say, this function cannot be run? Because you were also going to get sponsors.
Mm-hmm. That was the work. Again, this is a City of Ocoee event, not a Jennifer Yon agency event. And trying to come back to the commission to get things done, I've seen lots of bickering. I've seen lots of uncertainty. So if I would have kept trying to come back to the commission, then I'm afraid this event might not have happened. You know, last year I was given 2 weeks to do something very similar. This year I outdid that over and beyond. It was a successful event. So going back to the commission when you're only meeting 1 or 2 times, I was in conversation with the HRDB board chair. I was in conversation with 2 of the commissioners. So it was no other meetings that was going on.
And here's what I'm looking at, is that a commissioner cannot give the approval. I cannot sit here and give approvals for anything without it being done right here, with full disclosure.
And again, on October 20th, when I was in the city manager's office, he had these same documents that you have in front of you.
I just got to make a comment here. The purpose of that meeting, Jennifer, and you're making it to be construed as something different. The only reason you came in and I met with you that day was to help you get the $17,000 check. It was not to go over your invoice and discuss with you the validity of each one of those, or have you gone to this department, or which costs have gone up that aren't going to be covered. And I think you know, I mean, I wanted to help you get that.
I do.
If that was something you wanted, we could have set something more up, but we dealt with the check at that point. I know
Right.
you were all out raising some money. I saw there was some balance out there. I didn't know if, I heard something, the county was kicking in $50,000 or something, but that wasn't the intent of what we were talking about. I would have been glad to sit down with you and tell you what's covered, what you probably have to go back to the commission for, but that wasn't the reason that we met.
Well, I understand, but when you asked me would the city be on the hook for the balance, and I said yes, I was under the understanding that you were
Yeah,
in
we
the
have a
authority.
different understanding of that conversation too.
Okay.
I asked, because I saw that $27,000.
Yes.
And I said, because this is all the commission has committed to, is the $17,000. And I think Commissioner Oliver was there too, when I made that very clear that we're just responsible for the 17. And I told you at that meeting, I understand you're dealing with the board, and you were dealing with the commission, and you were dealing with staff. I understood how it could get crazy trying to deal with the different entities, trying to
Right.
get all that funded. I think if we were gonna do this in the future, there's a different way to do it.
I agree,
But
and that's what I'm
it's-
asking, how do we
Yeah,
do
and I don't think
this?
there was any discrimination or anything like that, and I told you that day. It was the way this was set up, and you dealt with them once at a much smaller level of commitment, and, paying for a $60,000 or $65,000 event, there's probably a couple of steps we could have done better. Unfortunately, this board doesn't report to me, so it's kind of hard to know everything that's going on and if they're doing everything correctly. But we could have done that and made that clear at that meeting, but my understanding was you needed some help getting that $17,000 check, and we did that.
And again, I just want to continue saying, this is not a Jennifer Yon agency event. This is a City of Ocoee monumental event that I was hired to do, that has been working for a full year, over 300 hours, and discounted my services over $27,000. So I'm sure you can understand my frustration with working for a full year, and still to this day not being paid. And again, this is the first response from my email on November 17th, is to wait. No one reached out to me and said anything. So through the holidays up until now, I've had to explain you have to wait till December 6th, when I submitted everything a day or two after it was requested. I wish I would have been communicated then instead of waiting all of this time to come up before you all.
I thought that was understood, that it would be discussed at this meeting, and we provided it. We had an agenda item to discuss this, so there were emails. Your email basically gave me the documents. I
Right.
said, okay, we have what we need for the December 6th. I don't think I've had any discussions back and forth since then.
Yeah. No, I didn't even get a response that I've received your information. I got no response.
Your email took a little time to digest. I thought it was going to be, hi, here's my receipts, if you need any further clarification, but it went into a lot of other areas
Yes,
that,
sir, it did.
that made me feel a little uncomfortable, because I didn't think a lot of it was true. It may have been your perception.
This
but,
is very uncomfortable to be here tonight.
I
This has
understand.
been very stressful.
I understand, but, so nobody was ignoring you. They can't take action individually by reading, so this was already set up. Everyone knew that this was going to be taken care of this evening, one way or the other, so, yeah. Sure.
I have a question. Was there a request made of Orange County to make a donation to this festival?
Yes, it was, and Orange County actually wanted to do something, but they have instructed me on things to do for next year, classes and things to take to get funding for them. It was too last minute. They tried to do something, but they could not.
Okay, so we didn't ever receive
We didn't get
anything
anything from Orange County, no, sir.
Okay. Same with the stage. The stage was going to be donated by...
The stage, it's not in my breakdown. However, I did lose a $1,200 deposit on the stage, again, in uncertainty of waiting to find out who would provide a stage. So you notice that the stage is not in the breakdown of financials.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was being donated by
I
Orange
was out
County
of
or
that
Orlando.
arrangement. I just was told that the stage was secured and it would be there.
Okay, you never received a bill or anything
No,
for
I
it?
have never received a bill.
Where did it come from?
This is,
Okay, thank you. I'm through.
I can answer the question about the stage. The actually stage came from the city of Orlando. The Orange County stage was actually somewhere in Oklahoma being refurbished or rehabbed. So the city of Orlando, they did not donate the stage. It had to be paid for. So
Okay.
I paid for it along with Commissioner Brinson and Senator Geraldine Thompson. We put in and paid for the stage.
Oh, okay.
I can also speak to the meeting that I brought Ms. Yon to. For one, I received a phone call from Ms. Yon. She was very distraught about what was going on. I sat on the HRDB as the, I guess, as the liaison from the commission, and I did not get involved in any of the planning of the event at all. I sat back and let the subcommittee do what they do. I attended the meetings, I listened to the updates, all the behind the scenes, what was going on back and forth. I was not privy to that until I received a phone call from Ms. Yon, alerting me that she felt that she was being treated differently. She was upset, and she thought that she was being discriminated against, and my response to her was, that is not true. And to just kind of double down on that, my response to you was, well, let me schedule a meeting with our city manager so I can show you that the city, we're really behind you, and we're trying to get this thing, this event off the ground and to help you as much as we can. That was my reason for attending that meeting. And the city manager, to his defense, he did. He explained that we're here to help, and he was trying to do whatever he can to help. He actually made sure you got the $17,000. Again, I think he did an excellent job of kind of diffusing the whole situation, at least the way you were feeling at that moment. Because again, I believe that there was no, I guess, discrimination going on behind the scenes. It was also brought to my attention that you said the mayor was calling you, and you said that Scott Kennedy was calling you. So again, I wasn't aware of this stuff until late into this thing. So I sat for almost a year in thinking that this event was going to go off just like it did the year before. But to my surprise, here we are less than a month later to find out all of this was going on behind the scenes, and it was disheartening to me. And then again, I saw the bickering at the meetings. I saw these things. I heard certain members say certain things that were disheartening to me. I'm not going to mention their names tonight, but I have mentioned them in the past. And one thing I will say is that we have members from the public that will, or other boards that will come to this commission meeting, and they will give their opinions as a board member. I think that's inappropriate to sit on a board and then come and interject your own personal opinion about what goes on that board. You're either going to be speaking for that board or you're going to be speaking about yourself. So when you come to the commission and you do those things and you give your name, my name is John Smith, I live at 123 Main Street. Now you're in a public forum and a public record. So don't get upset when one of the commissioners, i.e. myself, mention your name in a video. It's already public record. So don't get mad and say your name is being tarnished because you came before this commission and you made statements that was actually called out. So I just want to give some clarification on that. So you come to this commission meeting and someone mentions your name, don't get upset because you have every right to hold us accountable. Every right to hold us accountable. And I agree with that wholeheartedly, 100%, as we all not only should hold each other accountable, but we should be held accountable by the public. But don't get upset if you're doing something appropriate and we call your name. So in this case, that's one of the things that has happened. One of the things that I've noticed over the years, we have lots of projects that go on in the city. Excuse me. We have lots of projects that go on in the city. We have a lot of building going on, sidewalk repairs. There's a lot of things that we're doing that we have budget workshops that we allocate funds for these different projects. And there's been many times that we've had change orders in these projects. There's been change orders in these projects that's unbeknownst to us as commissions. I guarantee you there's change orders that happen under $50,000 that we have to pay these bills. They have to be done. So we hire a contractor to do some work. They start digging in the ground. They find some things that they didn't expect to find, and it's going to increase the cost of the project. Well, they put in a change order. That change order is paid by the city manager. We move on. We pay bills. Just like we pay a light bill, we pay water bills, and we don't have to worry about that. The city commission shouldn't have to sit here and worry about, is the light bill in the city of Ocoee being paid? Are we paying our gas bill? Are we paying our water bill? We have a city manager to do those things. That's why we give him a signing authority of $50,000 or less to pay the bills, to do the work, to do the operational, to meet our operational commitment. This event right here is nothing more than an operational commitment. It was a city of Ocoee sponsored event. It was an operational commitment that went over the budget. It came to us at $125,000. We could not do that. We did not have that kind of money. We came up with $30-something thousand. I believe that she tried to put on a $30,000 event. I believe she started meeting after we met with the city manager. She started meeting with the city staff. And at the meeting with the city staff, all of the staff, they started giving her requirements that was not a part of the original proposal. When this happened, guess what? And it's late in the game, less than 30 days ticking, prices go up. Prices go up, that's why we have change orders. These things happen. So, I don't want to go back and forth with this and put a negative connotation on anything that's happening tonight. I'm just saying that we had a bill that came due, and I just think we should just pay the bill, and let's figure out how to prevent this from happening as we move forward. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. All right, well, here's one of the problems. We have no contract. Is there a contract signed by the city? That's not a contract. Oh, I keep forgetting that thing. Where's the contract? Is there a contract, Rob?
I'm not aware of one, Mayor. Like I said, my first involvement with this was our original meeting where trying to get the expedited $17,000 check. I honestly don't know if there was a contract or not.
I haven't seen one. I've seen the cost stuff. I haven't seen a contract. I think the church part was supposed to be paid out of the first money we give, which it says on July the 19th. The original $33,000 was approved for Ocoee Remembers 2022. From that amount, $8,000 was allotted to pay for the events that High Point Church was asked to facilitate. And that never happened. So,
Well, if we would have given.
I'm talking now.
Okay, I was going to answer to that.
Let me finish.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here's the deal. No matter what we do up here, you heard the comments made earlier. It's either white, we're white because we didn't go to the thing, that's white. No, I had other functions to do, but I've been to every function on the Remembrance, that Saturday night, all day Sunday. Nothing to do with what was going on Saturday morning, because I had already said I wasn't going. And I only made one phone call to you, but you made 2 or 3 to me. Now, anybody can say what they want to say. I'm not getting any arguments tonight. I'm just tired of hearing this stuff, trying to throw it off on color. There's nothing to do with color. It's got to do with what you're supposed to do when you turn in stuff. You turned in an invoice, you didn't turn in receipts. So that's another story. But here's my opinion. I'll pay it because we didn't do it right the way it's supposed to be done. The finance department didn't do the thing they were supposed to do and write a contract and do the contract for you to sign. So if it's ever done again, it's going to be a contract, which if it is, fine. But I'm telling you, what's wrong with people? Everything's got to be put on the side and say color. It has nothing to do with color. Then you said hate. There's no hate. It's what you're supposed to do for just what he said, the Commissioner Aller said. It's about what we do for citizens and the responsibility we're supposed to have for citizens. It's your money. We're not supposed to just throw it out the door and not have a contract or have a receipt. That ain't the way it does. You always throw up the music thing. Go look. There's receipts. There's money. They raise money. We talked about this before. Y'all raised $3,500 out of all that. Nobody went out and worked. Nobody went out and got the money. When we do the music fest and you argue about it or whatever you want, we go out and find $300-some thousand. and sponsorships. But it's always kicks on it, but it has nothing to do with whether she's what color Miss Wilson is or I'm at. It's about what we've got going on. I was at the parade last week with Commissioner Oliver. I didn't see nobody else there, but it wasn't got to do anything with color. It's got to do with what we do in our times. I go to more events than anybody in this room, more of them. I do it every day, all the time. Has nothing to do with it. I'm getting sick of hearing that. You know, I got a problem when you say you're supposed to do it. I never give you a contract. I didn't get a contract. But that's the city's fault because we didn't make it sign a contract. Y'all, somebody agreed, somebody told you to go spend that money without anybody in this commission saying that. Now, I don't know if these commissioners told you. I don't know if these commissioners told you, but I know I didn't. And I don't know anybody that Rob didn't. So somebody give you the approval to go spend that money. It wasn't us. And like I said, I'll pay it, and especially I'd pay the church. First thing they did, they turned in a thing that's got everything exactly to the receipts, right down to the point. And what you're supposed to do. There's nothing wrong, but I couldn't come that Saturday morning. My granddaughter was there working. My granddaughter was there. I guess she wasn't supposed to be. She was white. So, I don't know. So it's not that. You can laugh about it all you want, but it's the truth. I didn't bring it up. She did. It's funny, but this city's a great place to live, and people just don't want to hear that anymore. Everything's got to move, and it doesn't work on that. I sit up here as the mayor, and my job is to make sure we're accounting for what we're supposed to do. And we get this thing that shows us we owe another $30,000 when it was set up here one night, and it flat says right there the amount of money that was made, the motion to pay for that, not anything else. But like I'm telling you, because of what happened, I'll pay it, but I'll never do it again if it's not a contract. See, it's got to be a contract. You can sit what you want, and I don't care who you got here. If you have even a lawyer can tell you, if you don't have a contract, it's tough to get that money. But I'll vote to pay it, only because there's not a contract, and that's our fault through the community service department didn't make the contract, or the finance department didn't do it. Nothing, that's the city's fault. As I looked into it and said, we weren't supposed to spend that money. And I get tired of people telling me what I've done when I haven't done it. I haven't called you all the time. I called you one time, and you asked my opinion of what we should do, and I told you. So you can make comments all night long that I did, and I didn't. If you'd like to, we can take a lie detector test, and we'll see.
Well,
Now, let me finish.
okay.
I didn't take your time. And we're gonna move on. We're gonna make a motion here and do what we gotta do. We'll be here all night. I'm telling you, I'll vote for it, but I don't believe it's right. We didn't have a contract, and somebody approved spending more money than we're supposed to. So if the citizens like it, more power to you. All right, let's have a motion.
Say one more thing. I did attend, just to clarify this, I did attend Sunday night, and no, I wasn't on a cruise. I lost my cruise. My husband had emergency surgery at Shands. So it's okay. So if you want to say, when we start calling it black or white issues, it's not. It's life. And I really don't appreciate it. Just as I didn't appreciate Commissioner Oliver calling on his YouTube video. He may have called other people, but what he said about me was wrong.
All right.
I'm sorry, hold on, wait a minute.
I need a motion.
No,
Yeah, it
No,
is.
hold up, Mayor, hold
need
on
a
for a
motion.
second. Hold up for a second. Again, when that video was published, there was 20 views of that video. After that last commission meeting, there was over 500 views in that video. And I received phone calls, video concerning your comments, Commissioner Wilson. And I not one time in that video that I said that you were holding any meetings with the mayor or backdoor meetings or any other kind of meetings. I did not say that.
What did you mean?
I said, when I said that there's meetings that happen, side door, back door, underdoor meetings, yeah, they do happen, but I didn't put your name in that. Your name was not in that. Your name was not in that. I looked at that video again, your name was not there.
That's,
If anything, when I make a comment, I'm not finished, man, I'm sorry. If anything, when I make a comment like that, I'm talking about this entire leadership as a whole. There's always meetings that go on all the time. There's always text messages during the commission meetings. There's always something going on behind the scenes, under the table, and on the side door. There's always, so if we want to really want to get into that, we can, but I didn't want to get into that. But again, I'm just saying, there's always something going on. There's always some strategies being plotted. There's again, some of the responses and things that happen on this commission it's like it's rehearsed sometimes. So again, I don't want to get into that, but I'm just saying, I'm gonna leave it alone, leave it right there. I'll leave it right there.
All right, I'd love for you to pull those records. Everybody hear that? Pull those records, bring them to the public. Let's see them. Anybody that write Texans up here at night? Anybody up here? I'd love to see the records. Prove it.
My phone is
Prove it. I know. Here's my phone. You get yours. Let's all pull our phones out. Let them do it. Let them pull it out and see it. You know? All right. Besides that, I need a motion. You can't win this. I will say one thing. Some people spread that thing out where people could just see what idiotic comments it was on it for that comments about Miss Wilson. It was sent out to people where they could see that and read it, because there was a lot of people who didn't like it. So I need a motion. I want to make a motion to pay it.
I'll make a motion that we satisfy these balance of his invoices for the Unity Festival.
By
Can
how
we-
much?
Speaking to the mic, I couldn't hear you. Is it on, Commissioner?
Yes, I make a motion that we satisfy the balance of the invoices for the Unity Festival.
I think we need to include in that motion where that money is going to come from.
I think I could address that. I think,
And how much?
yeah, we need to know how much. I'm not sure if the church's invoice is included.
It is.
It is, so the 27 is a total?
Includes the church, yes, it does.
So for the maximum of the $28,000, and you could all right now designate a certain amount under contingency and just give me the authority to take it out of the other accounts as necessary to make the 27,000 and change.
Ms. Young, what is the exact amount?
The exact amount, it's $8,000 to High Point Church, but the exact total amount,
Yeah, I got you.
We got that, Pastor. It was
the
7,600.
total amount is $27,637.34, with $8,000 being allocated to High Point Church. So minus whatever their change is, I've requested several times for their numbers, and it went unheard. So I don't have anything as far as their receipts or what their numbers were.
I received the email from the church. It was not $8,000. It was
Again.
$7,600.
That's,
Did you not?
No, they never responded back to me. I requested their numbers and their breakdown twice through email, and I got no response.
all right, here's how we do it. Make a motion to pay the churches out of that, and then we'll pay the other. Take that off what they've got, the 8,000 on, take the 8,000 off that, and give her that.
So Jennifer, it would be around,
19,000.
Correct.
And then we'll make a check out to the church.
It's $19,637.34, correct?
I know, yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure we're not discussing this in
Okay.
January again.
All right,
So-
here's the
So
deal.
we get the numbers right.
All right, they got the receipts, they got an amount on their deal for what theirs is.
$19,637.34 to Jennifer Young Agency, and $8,000 or minus their adjustment for High Point Church.
Yeah, so the motion is to pay the Jennifer Young Agency $19,637.34, and a
Pay the
payment.
church 8,000.
Payment to the church of the invoiced amount of 7,600 plus or minus. And those funds will come out of contingency.
If the commission's comfortable with that, or some amount out of contingency, and just authorize me to find some in other places
We
to leave
authorize
some
you
money
to
in
do that.
contingency for the rest of the
Yeah.
year.
Is that all right? Consensus, is that all right with him to do that? All right, let's,
Well, no, that's not all right. And the reason I say that is because we've set aside monies already. So if that money's not coming out of the money we set aside for cultural events,
there's other cultural events there's gonna be.
Right, that's
Why
what
would
I'm
you
asking.
take it,
I'm
why would
asking.
you take it out of there when you might need it for a cultural event? He's offering it a way to get it out of the consent agenda, and the other without taking it out of your money.
Or
which you
contingency,
might need.
if that's something you wanted out of that cultural, we could do that too, or we could take a portion out of there.
Why would you take it out of that?
why not? Because it's
Why?
cultural.
Because you might need it for other cultural events.
You're
There's
not
an
taking it
Indian-
all.
There's an Indian cultural event supposed to come in January. We need money for those other ones. You got the Martin Luther King parade. I'm just saying, if it can come out of the consent agenda,
There's enough money to cover any
Yeah.
other cultural events. We're not talking
well, I'm
about
just saying.
we're not taking $100,000 and paying out an invoice. There's money left
you gotta
over to
make
cover
everything
other cultural events.
I don't think this is something we should debate because it's all general fund. So if you all want to do a cultural event sometime, you can put the money back in from the other account we took it from.
Just pay the money.
It's all general fund dollars.
Jesus.
Who made the motion?
Amen.
Who made the motion?
I had-
Mr. Brent,
Well, I-
Mr. Brent.
Okay, let's scratch that. Let's start over. I make a motion that we satisfy the invoices to the Jennifer Young Agency in the amount of $19,637.34. And also, we satisfy High Point Church's amount due to them for $7,600 plus or minus dollars. And that money is to become out of contingency and/or cultural events as the city manager sees fit.
They usually give us all right, the motion made by Commissioner Brent, they usually give us what's in the consent agenda, but I didn't get it tonight.
You make contingency.
Contingency.
It's
Contingency.
50,000, Mayor.
Okay, there, all right.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any more comments? Let's vote.
I did.
I did, I voted.
Let's vote again.
Is yours on?
You ready?
Yep.
Huh?
Yes?
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right,
Thank you.
item number 17, discussion and direction regarding a resolution to amend the bylaws of the Human Relations Diversity Board.
So Commissioners, over the last several city commission meetings, we've had discussions about city staff bringing forth a resolution on changes to the bylaws of the HRDB. We have prepared a draft resolution that changes the bylaws and the makeup of the HRDB board. Some of the changes in that resolution are a reduction of the number of board members from between 5 and 7 it used to be 7 to 13 members. We've now changed it to 5 to 7 members. Those 7 members would consist of a member appointed by each district commissioner and 1 member appointed by the mayor from the city at large, and then 2 additional at-large voting members that would be appointed by the city commission. This would also include the city commission designating 1 member representing an organization with operations in the city, such as a church or other civic organization, to serve as a non-voting member. The resolution provides a method for identifying or a process for the city commissioners appointing their member, and each member would serve for either a 2 or 3 year term. So a couple of the choices that are up to the city commission is to which district appointees would serve for 2 years, and then which would serve for 3 years. This is just initially, so we have staggered terms. We need to make a decision as to whether all members of the board have to reside in Ocoee, or could they own property in Ocoee. And we've made some clarification on the duties of the liaisons for the board. So we've prepared this resolution for further discussion. Want to get your input on it so that we can finalize and implement it.
All right, I've got some people who want to talk about that. So before we go any further with that, I want Mr. Hart, your turn. Filled out a form. You can. Then Mr. Moyer, then Mr. Maxwell.
Good afternoon. My name is Aegis Lamar Hart. I'm a proud resident of Arden Park. I've been a resident of the city of Ocoee for the past 29 years. What I have before you is the love of my life, my wife. I married her in 1993. I met her on September 4th of 1986 at Florida A&M University. She was the chair of the HRD board. She is the love of my life, and I'm so proud of her. And I'm here as her husband to speak for my wife. Man who findeth a wife findeth a good thing, obtain the favor from the Lord. I am a bishop, so don't underestimate my mellow tone for the lack of anger or disappointment I have. The HRB board needs to exist, but it cannot exist in the form that it is in now. When the people first did the original Day of Remembrance, they broke the curve. They lost the first 5 pounds. The hardest thing about losing weight is the first 5 pounds. They lost it. My hero, right there, that man, Mr. Maxwell, who even got me playing golf. I never played golf before, but he's got me playing golf. My handicap is so high, I probably got a disability, but that's another story. They did something that's never been done before. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people loved it, but it was a big step moving forward. Then the board became Samuel. It became a kingmaker. It became something that people would want to be a part of because it had power. No other board in the city got calls from the University of Florida. No other board in the city got interviews from reporters. It had power. So it attracted a lot of attention. It attracted a lot of political attention. People wanted the king's blessing so they can get funding for things they wanted to do. The board has to change, but the board has to exist. Ocoee has to move forward. We've made that first step and we don't need to go backwards. So I encourage you to take this resolution, get the best people in. What happened to the board is politics. Politics got involved. And when politics get involved, things change. People want to use this to exalt themselves, to move forward. When I is more important than us, we all are in trouble. And people use the board as their I, the way to spring forward. I know Kobe Bryant said, there's no I and win, but there's I and team, but there's a me. And that me was wrong, because that's why they didn't win so many championships. If he and Shaq would have worked together, they would have won more championships. So we need to have a board that's independent of this board, that works independently. Thank you. Thank you, Rosemary Wilson, for taking up for my wife. I appreciate that. I appreciate your bravery, your honesty. I appreciate that. I don't need to speak anymore because you did an eloquent job of doing that. She did the best she could with what she had. She was torn between the city. You just saw the debate here. She was torn between the city saying doing this person's doing that. She's in the middle trying to deal with all this the best she can. Commissioner Oliver came at the last minute. If anybody's ever been bass fishing, you ever heard of punching? Punching is when you take a 2-ounce weight, you put a little crawfish on it, you drop it in the middle of the grass. Bass has one choice: either hit it or let it go. It works at Lake Bennett real good. Got a 7-pound bass over there. Got a picture of him, threw him back. That's what he did. We got to get this money. We got to get this money. We got this money. I voted for it. So you know what? Okay, worst case scenario is put up to the side. But now I see what's really going on. He was over budget with this. He was stressed. So we voted. It was a lot of confusion because it came in at the last minute. Member Lumnick disagreed. I disagree with Mr. Lumnick about a lot of things, but you know what? I admire 2 things about him. He's consistent in his message, and he's committed to the city. And I got a lot of respect for him for that. Yeah, we disagree. There's nothing wrong with that. That's America. That's what we do. But it came up, and my wife was trying to do the best she could. So she came in. She said, hey, we don't need the money. And everybody got so upset. She still has a right to speak her mind. She still has a right as a citizen. Yeah, I voted for it. In hindsight, I voted the wrong thing. We don't need the money. The board was not ready for it. As you can see what just happened in the budget meeting right now, we were not in position. So, since we're talking about having closed doors meetings, somebody recorded the meeting the next week when somebody asked to vote my wife out. And they put it on somebody's webpage. That sounds like a closed door meeting. That sounds like a plan. That sounds disrespectful. I'm out of time. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Mr. Moyer?
Yes, sir. My name's Jim Moyer. I also live in Arden Park. And I'll take a couple sections to say, Bishop Hart, great picture. I love it. Say hello to your wife for me, please.
She know you put that up there?
It's outstanding. I grew up in a German-American households for years by Justice of the Peace. My first girlfriend was Native American, my second was Hispanic. As an adult, I've lived with people who were French and Native American, twice with African Americans, 4 times with Asian Americans, not counting my current wife, who's half African American and half Asian American. I live with West Indians. Diversity is more than just the politically correct term. It is my life. Okay, diversity is my life. However, for over a decade now, I've always said, and if you read the current mission of this HRDB, the word all is used a lot, okay? All, a synonym to all is inclusive. And I've said on different forums, inclusion must come before diversity. It must. You must include everyone. People with disabilities, people who look different, people of different cultures, everyone. So inclusion must always come before diversity. I threw out the idea, make a Ocoee idea board. Inclusion, diversity, equality, and accessibility. The idea board. I'm just throwing that out as a consideration. Now, I agree with Bishop Hart in several aspects. This board must exist, but it must change. We must work in unity and not in name alone. If you look on the board there, we all as human beings have a choice when it comes to everything or our dealings with everyone. We can look at things positively, glass half full, or we can look at things negatively, glass half empty. A board here in the city of Ocoee can work in unity, get a lot done, can be the example to this state, to this country. And I see this as an opportunity to do just that. So let's move forward. Whether I'm on this future board or not doesn't matter to me. This has been something I've been advocating for over half a century. So please, let's work together as one Ocoee in unison. God bless you all. Let's think in terms of half full, not half empty. God bless.
Thank you. Mr. Maxwell, 5 minutes. And that, I have to tell him that. I have to tell him that. It won't start till you get up there and say,
We love you, Bill.
We
We
do.
really do. But we know you.
Oh, my God.
We love to kid you.
My name is William Maxwell, and I am a 27-year resident of the city of Ocoee. I spent 15 of those years as a member of the Human Relations Diversity Board. And I ask and appeal to you that, predicated on events that the board has performed, to which I believe were performed at a professional level, that the board must exist. And that I would remind you that the state of Florida has 412 municipalities. And if you'll do a little research, you'll find that there are perhaps only 4 of those municipalities that have a functional entity that references or resorts to the consideration of cultural diversity. Now, the question I ask you is, do you want to become a part of that large number out there that just kind of lumps it in, or do you want to go ahead bearing a difference that's noteworthy on a national scale? So much for that. In your considerations of a revision of the bylaws of the Human Relations Diversity Board as they have existed for some 18 years, I would ask that you permit or consider receiving some input from existing board members. I recall somewhere, and I believe it's recorded in our files, that in the 2012, 2015 timeframe, or perhaps even before that, I requested of the board, of the council at some point in time, that the board be allowed to vet prospective members. And that didn't catch any footing at that point in time. I hope it falls on more fertile ground now. But if you look at it from the sense that it exists, it's difficult to bring someone into and from a diverse community. I believe we're somewhere on the verge of about 40 ethnicities within our community. And that individual has absolutely no clue as to what the board's objectives are or why the board exists. And as I have seen over the years, the level of interest dissipates rapidly, sometimes more rapidly than can be imagined. And if you look historically at the turnover that has taken place in the board members prospectively, I think it will substantiate what I just said. So I would ask this. If I can find my glasses, I'll read them, Mayor, and I will abide within the time frame of the time constraints that you've imposed. That the city provides some type of formal training. This board and the function of what this board is about is not going to diminish. When we get to a point that Gen X and Gen Z and all of those that are youthful to us come on to play, you've got to be you've got to be a futuristic in the thought process of however you revise the bylaws. I would ask that we be provided some input. I would ask that you consider looking again at the mission statement, that it's reflective of what the future of Ocoee is about. I don't think it's all inclusive at this point in time. I believe, and I close my remarks, that the city has moved forward under some of the things that the HRDB has been involved in. And I would ask that you take that into your evaluation, that we don't allow something as beautiful as the HRDB has been to be politicized, and that you make it a necessary entity to help move Ocoee forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it, Mr. Maxwell. Ms. Vivian Johnson.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you said, my name is Vivian Light Johnson. I live at 1884 Ivis Bay Court here in Ocoee. First, I know you've passed the resolution to take care of the bills, but there were a couple of things that, as I've observed, that I wonder about. And I know no one wants to hear this word, but we keep hearing about the music festival. I've been on a hunt to get information about the music festival. In the budget meeting, there was nothing in that budget that said music festival. I was told that if I wanted something about the music festival, I'd have to know what specific documents to ask for, because it's not designated in some kind of way. I don't know. But because I want to know the history, not where we are now. I want to know when it started and how it started. I want to know that. So I will sometime get around to getting that public request. My other thing is I sat through all these meetings, and tonight's the first time I heard anything about a contract. Nobody ever brought it up. Tonight is the first time that I heard anything about can't read my notes. There was, in none of the meetings were these people asked about the contract or the budgets. So it disturbed me, and I haven't had time. I'm trying to do my own little investigation, so to speak, because I want to see how these other boards are working. I just can't figure it out. Since I've been coming to these meetings, the only people that come here and have contention is the diversity board. It's been like in my mind, why? I don't understand it. So that's something. But when you speak about the diversity board, as a citizen who's been observing these things, it's been really troubling to me that we have a whole new resolution. We're going to redo everything for a board that's existed, according to Mr. Maxwell, for 18 years. When it seemed to me, as I observed the meeting, that the problems resolved around the members that were put on the board, and I think Mr. Maxwell hit on the head. There's some training that needed to occur. I don't think there was a total revamp that was needed at all. People who act out inappropriately should be removed, not a board totally disbanded because 2 or 3 people are inappropriate. That really bothers me as a citizen, and especially since I don't see this with any other board. I don't understand it. So that brings me to my biggest concern with the new revamp of who is going to serve on these boards. How are we going to make sure there is diversity? And I don't know about the history of this board too much. I really didn't pay that much attention. I've been to some of the other meetings. But it just seemed to me that this board started out understanding the history and trying to make sure that the history of Ocoee is acknowledged and not forgotten. But it seems like we're watering that down a little bit, so I'm real concerned about that. But I fully agree with Mr. Maxwell. I had written it down, that I do believe that if you're going to revamp, there should be some vetting so that we don't have folks on the board who do not believe in the mission. Because I feel like the people who recently were put on the board didn't believe in the mission and disrupted and have achieved a goal. And that disturbs me. So as a citizen, I really hope that we will understand what it really means to be diverse and inclusive. And I hope we will make sure that the people serving on the board want to see the mission accomplished. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Okay. All right. We need to do the motion on this or come up with what we're doing, the motion, what they said on the ordinance. So you and Commissioner Forster made the motion in second. I think when we do this, we gotta look at all the boards. It's not just gonna be the Human Relations Diversity Board. I have a problem that, I think the diversity board should be diverse, that's for sure. And just because these other two are diverse, they get to speak their piece too. So whoever's on there, you get to speak your piece. So you can't be thrown off because you're, the difference. So the diversity board does need to be diverse. That's what it's supposed to be. And I believe that's what's gonna happen when we do the members. Each one of us get to pick our members. I'm not gonna put somebody on there that don't wanna be on there. I wanna pick somebody that wants to be doing what's right for the city of Ocoee. So let's get doing what we gotta do here. We spent a lot of time on 2 items tonight. Go ahead.
Yep. So did you say there was already a motion made and seconded?
Not yet.
Oh, I'm
There
sorry.
was a motion made to get here.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That was, I think, the previous meeting.
Yes.
Oh, I thought I missed something. I was like, wait a
No.
minute.
No, you don't miss nothing. All right.
I know I had made the original, I know last meeting I probably was making the original motion. Sorry. Okay, I know, we'll go, yeah, okay. I was a liaison on the HRDB board many years ago. And we did not ever have an issue that I had folks that were feeling threatened. And I think that's what brought me to this point. Because back then, the mission was to foster diversity within our community. And I think that's where we come to this point. So I'm happy to reorganize. We want the HRDB board. Bill started back with you and Lester, and it's only moved forward since then. And I think they've accomplished a lot of wonderful goals. I think we got to a point this time. It's sad that we came to this point. I think it's sad we came to the point where we had to go through a budget issue. We had to go, to me, I think it's just a point of revamping, restarting. I believe we need, as you said, vetting, that we need to make sure that who we appoint knows the mission and is able to, besides doing the our July Perry event, to do Hispanic, to do Indian, to do the Asian American, to work with the group that put on a very successful event, the Asian American event that was held here in the park. We, as you said, we represent how many, 40?
It's approximately 40, Commissioner.
40.
The last study I did a couple of years ago, we were at 37.
And
at the rate that we're being populated on a monthly basis right now, we could easily be 40 or greater.
And I hope that folks will come forward from our districts who want to, again, to immerse themselves in the mission that HRDV wants to move forward with. And maybe it needs to be smaller. It got quite large. We know that during the period of time, we had a very small amount, then it got large. And maybe we need to focus back. Folks can still come to these meetings and voice their opinion. You have 3-5 minutes, whatever. But you can voice your opinion and concern regarding that, what's happening. But I think that we probably need to come back, and I think we need to reevaluate what our liaison is. I am the liaison to the Park and Recreation Board, and I was a member on that board. And sometimes I have to remember that I'm not a member. I am the liaison. But they adhere to their budget. That was brought up. They have a $2,000 budget. They adhere to that. Their mission is to assist the Recreation Department in their mission. We're not to run the Recreation Department. We are not to develop their budget. We are there to work with them to improve what they have to offer or to help them. So I'm hoping that we will have folks come forward who want to be involved in that mission. And again, I think it's vetting it, you're right, vetting and making sure. And I will tell you, Mr. Hart, I am very disappointed in all that happened. Very. And so that's the thing I'm gonna say, but I'm interested in making sure that I think we need to go over with our commission, being a liaison, what is your responsibility? You're not there to run the board. You are there to be there if they need your assistance. And I think things probably did, maybe they got too political, looks like they have. And we need to bring it back and to reevaluate, and I think it's teach the commission what they're to do as a liaison, and then seek out members who are interested in that mission. So that's, I know there's a couple options here. My screen just went out on me. Some options for us at this point, if I'm correct, Scott. I mean, other people have to speak, but.
It was really, at least in this draft of the resolution, unless we have further changes, there are a couple of decisions. In order to stagger the board members, we have it set up so that 2 members appointed from 2 districts serve for 2 years and the other 3 serve for 3 years. So we need to make a decision on which districts' appointees will serve for the 2 years. And then we need to make a decision whether those appointees have to be residents in the city of Ocoee, or could they be residents or own property or a business located in the city. I think those are really the only 2 kind of decisions. But again, we're open to revising this however this commission feels.
We went to businesses, people who had businesses, because we could not obtain enough members, if I am correct. Bill, yes? Mr. Hart, I think that was that went to that point. So I don't want to be the only one speaking here, but I'm not in favor of going to businesses. I think we need, when you're going to have such a small board, you need residents who are invested in the community. I'll turn my mic.
Anybody else got comments? No more
I'll
comments?
I'll make a comment. I voted against this reorg, and the reason why is because I don't think the board needs a reorganization. I think the board may need different people on it, but I don't think the board needs a reorganization. Now, based on what Commissioner Wilson just said about the businesses or business owners, that's understandable. It was problematic getting enough people to serve on the board. You went that route. But at this point, if we go by what is on the agenda, where each member of this commission gets to choose one member for that Human Relations and Diversity Board, I find it to be troublesome and very difficult to imagine that board being diverse. I don't think it can be. Because if we're saying that it's using a number that was thrown out earlier, between 37 and 40 different ethnic groups in the city, 5 members not gonna make it. That's not gonna happen. So again, just so everyone knows, I'm not an advocate of having a board of 15 members either. But having just 5 members on this board doesn't seem to be representative of the municipality and the city. Even with 7, because it was 7. And I will say this as well, I don't know if any other commissioners will address this, but not every district is represented on these boards. And so in this case, if there's a commissioner here and his district or her district is not represented on this board and they can't find someone to be on that board, what do we do about that vacancy? It doesn't make any sense to me to have 5 or 7 members. It doesn't make any sense to me to reorganize. It makes sense to me to say you're being disruptive to the point of you're not really advocating for the city or for the board or for the community. Get in line or get off the board. I mean, it's a simple concept. Either you're here to help or you're here to hurt. Which position you take. Play your position, but whatever it is, the HRDB should not have to be reorganized down to 7 members. I would disagree with that till the cows come home. It doesn't make any sense to me because we need different viewpoints. We need different experiences. We need different ethnic experiences and cultures on the board. And if you just have 5 to 7 members, and that's if when you meet, all the 5 and 7 members show up. That doesn't make any sense to me. It literally does not make any sense to me. And again, I've said this before in the last commission meeting, I understand being disruptive. I have been called a disruptor before, but in a good way. Because I took that phrase that people say sometimes, that we've done it this way forever. Well, I'm about to disrupt that, because there's better ways. And all I ask you to do is to be open to those better ways. That's what this board needs. This board doesn't need to whittle it down and reduce it to 5 to 7 members. We need more viewpoints. We need, now, and I think many people have said this, I think I've said this before, for all boards, we need training to make sure the people who serve on those boards understand what the mission and the vision of that board is, and also what their role is in accomplishing and executing that mission. Being on the volunteer board, you are not a volunteer. You are a member of a volunteer board, which means you go there to work. If you want to volunteer, you do not have to be a member of that board. You can just show up and say, hey, whenever you need me, call me. Now you're a volunteer, but being a member of a volunteer board, you're not a volunteer. You are a member of a volunteer board, which requires you, it should require you to put in the work. And you don't have to sing, around the campfire and sing Kumbaya and get along all the time. That's not how the world works. It ain't. But you can come to a mutual understanding and gracious disagreement, and I don't think that's been happening on the board. And I've not, sat in many meetings on that board, but this is not just about HRDB. This is about every board out there. When I sat on the board, there was a police officer who sat at that board with us, and I was like, I thought maybe that was just the way it worked. There was a police officer there. And then they just went away at some point, and then they had to come back because they had a dust-up on the board. But it's not like we never had a police officer there. So again, I disagree with whittling this down to 7 members. I don't understand the concept of it, and I'm trying to wrap my mind around it, I am, but I've not been convinced that this is the best way to go.
Mr. Forster?
I think the number, maybe 7 to 9, maybe that would work better than having it 5 to 7. It would give a good number to the board. It would spread out the ideas and the thoughts. I have no problem with the rest of the revisions and everything. I wouldn't mind seeing business owners as part of it. They are invested in this city, and a lot of them are very passionate about being in this city. And I think they would be a good representative on a board like this, especially if they have diverse interests of their own. That's all.
Commissioner Oliver?
Five, 7, 9, 13, still the same. It doesn't matter. When this was brought up before us, I was totally against revising this board. You have members that disrupt the board, and I must agree with Commissioner Brinson that if someone disrupts the board, they should be removed. We had an incident just right here at this very meeting where a member from the public was removed or was asked to leave by the police. He asked to be leave. Well, escort me out by the police. And we saw that happen, and unfortunately, I hate to see things like that happen in this chamber, but it happened tonight. And he walked out and he spoke to the police officers, but we didn't clear the whole room because one member was loud or disruptive. The member walked out, or the citizen walked out and spoke with the police. We didn't clear the room out. We didn't kill an ant with a sledgehammer. Changing this board is the equivalent of killing an ant with a sledgehammer. We don't need to do that. The board should stay intact. You don't take an entire board of people that are there to do a job and just wipe them out and change up the way they've been doing business because of the bad behavior of one or two members. You deal with the members. You deal with the training aspect of that. I talked about that when this first came up in our last meeting. Before we get into this, oh, let's change the board, let's revise the board, let's change the bylaws, let's change the numbers, let's get one member, each commissioner gets one member or two members or whatever it may be. The first thing I said is wait a minute, we got a problem here. We got a problem. Why don't we get some training first? I can see if every member on that board had been trained in diversity, had been trained in inclusion, had that formal training, just like our staff has been trained in diversity, and then the behavior continued, then I would see the reason to revise that board. But in their defense, they've never been to any formal training. It's not going to be easy when everyone has opinions on how to do things. Mr. Hart came up and said, you know, you were very disheartened about your wife leaving the board. And I commend you for okay, well, you was disheartened by some things that happened on the board. Okay, well, I commend you for that. I commend you for standing up for your wife, because I would go to hell and back for mine. So you did what you're supposed to do. I have no ill will towards what you did, because you did what you had to do, and you said what you had to say, and what was on your heart was on your mind. And that's okay. But this is a part of what happens here. This is what happens with this board. We're not going to always agree, but there's no need for members to get violent, that's what brings us to where we are today. When one member comes before this commission and states that they fear for their lives or they fear for their safety, and we had to post a police officer in a board meeting. We've seen it where we had commissioners up here, elected officials on the dais, almost coming to blows. But did we disband the entire commission? No. We worked through it. We addressed the issue, we addressed the problem, we get the proper training. So as far as this reorganization, I totally disagree with it. I think that the members should stay on that board. I think they should be properly trained on that board. And I think they should be able to continue to work for the citizens of Ocoee. And it doesn't matter what district you live in, because you're representing the entire city. So if you have members from District 2 or 3, that you have more members on the board from District 2 or 3, that's just because there was more members from that district that wanted to be on the board to do the work. Very simple. Why we got to figure out, well, there should be 2 members from District 1 and 2 members from District 2? No, we don't need to get into that. That's not our job. That's not our function. Allow the citizens that volunteer to do the work, allow them to do the work. I do believe that there was members that were put on that board that had a mission in mind. And that mission was to disrupt. And they did it. They disrupted the board because we're here having this discussion today. They got there January last year, of this year. And their mission was to disrupt that board and to disband it, to bring us to where we are. And job well done, because they executed excellently, in excellence, because we're here having this discussion tonight. And it's not right, and it's wrong. It is hard sometimes to stand up and speak up what's right. I don't agree with all this black and white stuff, but what I agree with what's right and what's wrong. That's what I see. And we try our best to do what is right. And someone said, that I was advocating for $100,000. Let's figure out what the liaison is doing on this board. Well, you know what? I think we're all here to make the board better. If you as a liaison, no matter what commissioner sit on any board, and you have a suggestion to make the board better or to make the city better, it's your duty and responsibility to open your mouth and say, I have an idea. How about this? And that's exactly what I did. I didn't run any board. I didn't conduct any votes in that board. That board has a chairperson. It has a vice chairperson, and they have members at large. I didn't vote not one time, because guess what? It's not my role to vote. I only brought forth an idea. a simple idea. And here we are on the cusp of an idea to make something better. There was money out there that we could actually use to make this board better, to do more for the city. And we're here bickering, and even when that came up, there was bickering about money for that board. We went back and forth because there was $100,000 set aside to do something that was good and that was right. And we had to come to this point. Since when do we as a nation, as a state, as a community, want to ban somebody or get on someone for trying to do something that's right for their community? Because that's what we're doing right now. We're actually going through this motion when we shouldn't be going through this motion. It's easy to get it right. Leave it intact and train the members of that board. Allow them to do their jobs. Even the members that disrupt, I think they can be trained. They should be trained in diversity. Allow them to continue. Even the members that so-called disrupt this board, allow them to stay on that board. Allow them to go through diversity training and allow them to move forward together. So I don't agree with all this.
All right. Well, I've got different opinions of that. I keep hearing about the two people. What's wrong with the other two people making a comment? And I know one of them sitting out here. You know, it's a bad thing when you sit there and everybody's right on one side and nobody's right on the other side. That's not right. Everybody has a voice, no matter who you are or what you are. If you've got a voice, what's been going on here is different from what they want, then you're not there to be helping them. You're there to hurt them. And that's not a way to do it. You know, training, there's no training. If you're going to be on the diversity board, you're on there for the reason you're working for diversity for the city. Doesn't have to have training for it. Training's not going to help what's going on there. And I'll tell you something, Mr. Hart, your wife was one of the most people that should have been on that board. One of the only ones that goes there for the reason of what it's supposed to be for. She should be there. But no, the attack, because she's not doing exactly the same what they wanted to hear, that group, she had to go. People can shake their head. You don't know what's going on that board. You know, we get to read the things. And I'm telling you, Bill Maxwell, did you feel like somebody was fixing to kill you that night? Huh? Did you? I don't need a long explanation. Did you or not? Bill?
If I did, I wouldn't be here.
I know that. That's exactly right. So don't make him an scapegoat. Don't make that man an scapegoat because he's on there. He's a citizen of this city, and he wants to make his opinion. He gets his opinion. So what's the difference? And diversity means everybody gets to have things, not just certain people. If you go about diversity, you got to have other people on there. And we can diverse. I know who I'll put on there. And all of a sudden somebody said, well, we don't think it's going to be diverse because they're not going to appoint the right people. Well, how do you know who's going to appoint, who I'm going to appoint? I'm going to appoint who I think should be on there to work for the city of Ocoee. Not for other purposes, to get what we had tonight earlier, or not to say keep talking about the two other people on there because they're not the right people to go along with that group. They run off a lady that should have been there. You make a motion to get rid of her, who's one of the persons that should be. Highly educated lady that, you can shake your head all you want. This lady was highly educated, and that's the way, they didn't want her there. All she was doing was leading the meeting. I was sitting there, I was on that board too. Never, ever did I interfere and say anything, and never did I try to put people on there to get the votes. You can say what you want about the districts. It has to be a number where you don't overload the districts. When you load it up with people that you can get the votes, then it's not democracy. It's got to be where everybody can be jointly on that board and come to the right thing. And that's what we're going to have to do. And I don't have a problem doing all the boards the same way. We used to be where we did districts. And I don't know how that got away from it. You need to do districts in the board, and that's what we can do. And Commissioner Firstner, I agree. I think 7 people would do it, and then you have the other, like, outside person. If you want to do a business in the church, we do that. They get to voice their opinions and do that stuff. So just keep bringing up something about somebody else not liking what somebody's doing, but you get their opinion can be said too. I mean, everybody gets an opinion. Bill and I, we've had our discussions. I traveled with him, you know, on a diversity trip to Montgomery, Alabama. It was great. We didn't know, it was great. We didn't have any problems at all. We talked about issues like that we were dealing with diversity. And they did a super job, that first group did a super job of bringing that thing to fruition, whatever you want to call it, at the first deal we did. That was great. Without arguments, without trying to go out and do stuff. It was done the way it should have been done. And so I'm for training, not training. I'm for doing what we're talking about tonight with the motion to make it. And we go from there and we pick 7 people total. And I don't know, you pick who you want, but I know who I'll pick. And I know they'll do what they're supposed to do when they're on that board. But it has to change. And everybody says, even, I was amazed that Mr. Maxwell said that when I first talked with you a while back about the board. Because if he's wanting to change, there's something got to be done. Because he's been a person that's been on that board for a long time and knows what it is for diversity. And I don't want to stay here all night tonight, so we need a motion.
Well, remember, Mayor, that we, at the last meeting, and that it got approved, that we moved to have the elected officials nominate members from their district with 2 at-large members and a representative from High Point, which we later discussed whatever church it would be.
So that's already been made.
That was made at the last meeting. We approved the minutes tonight.
All right.
With 2 at-large members.
All right, so that's already been approved. We don't have to vote.
Right,
Wait a minute.
but
We had a discussion, Commissioner Wilson?
It's already been made. Read off the motion.
The last meeting we had, it kind of went to the point where we were amending, but we ended up going back to the original motion. And it was to move to have each elected official nominate members from their district with 2 at-large members and a representative from High Point Church, which we did discuss later that, it's not just High Point Church, but it could be, another entity. And it was moved by myself, seconded by Commissioner Firstner, and it passed 3-2. Now, again, we did approve these minutes tonight, and that's where I believe that it came to the point, am I correct?
Yeah,
And then that's where we came to the point.
that's consistent with the resolution that we prepared based on that information. Each commissioner would appoint 1, the mayor would appoint 1. Together, the commission would appoint 2. And then the commission also had the option to appoint a representative from a church or a civic organization.
All right, so we don't have to vote.
What we need to do is we need to get input on the resolution so that we can bring the resolution. Well, the resolution we drafted has a couple of blanks that we need a decision made on.
What is it?
That is, which districts are appointed for 2 years as opposed to 3 years, and then whether or not the members have to be residents or can own a business.
I'm not for the business.
Or property in the city. That's the resolution that we brought forward just has those open items in order to finalize. Now, if you want to add to it, revise it, take away, you can do that. These are just the open items in the resolution that was
Do each
prepared.
item separately. So
All right. So with each district commissioner appointing a representative, in order to stagger the terms, we need 2 appointees serving for 2 years, and then 3 serving for 3 years. So we need to decide which districts would be.
1 district, 2 district.
Yes.
1, 3, 2, 4.
Or do 1, 3,
2, 4, I mean.
or 2, 4.
Yeah, you tell me what you want to, which districts are for 2 years and which districts are for 3 years.
Commissioner.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Districts 1 and District 3 for 2 years, and District 2 and District 4 for 3 years. I mean, I'm not doing that purposely, because.
1 and 3?
1 and 3, 2
For
and
2
4,
years.
it's really, I'm not saying it just because I'm District 2, but,
No.
I'm just saying 1, 3, 2, 4, and it can go either way, 2 to 4, 2 to 3 years.
All right, second.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Forster.
I have comments.
Huh?
I have comments. I understand the staggering portion of this. So, but what this is saying is we're disbanding that board and and then reestablishing it.
No,
Well, what does the lawyer say about this?
We're changing the members,
Okay, so we're changing.
Well,
No,
potentially-
we're not changing the members. We're doing
potentially
more.
changing the members. We are reappointing all members to the HRDB board.
So,
Not all.
Yeah, we are going to put, if we go with this ordinance, we're now going to have 7 members of the HRDB board.
yeah, and the challenge I have is, one, other than me not agreeing with the number of members of that board to begin with, is some districts having more longevity than others. That's a problem, because if you were saying we're gonna make it even across the board, then why some districts have 2 years for those
Yeah.
members and other districts have 3?
We could do it where the entire board serves for a 2-year term or a 3-year term. I guess the concern is, for continuity,
Right.
you want some people to remain on the board when you're
Right.
putting new people on the board.
Right, and that's the challenge I'm having, is because right now we have members on the board who are actually in their first year of term or second-year term. Well, what we're doing, we're wiping all that away,
Yep.
clean slate,
Yep.
and we're saying, okay, we're gonna start over, but 2 of the districts will only have 2 years, and the other 2 districts will have 3 years. And that makes it uneven. That goes back again to, you can have an overload of people being able, I just don't understand what the fix is to what I'm talking about.
Well, do you want it to be all of them have the same term?
Yes, just like we do. We all have the same term, we just stagger.
You want to make another?
Then and again,
Okay.
and we stagger because it creates continuity.
We're staggered.
We're staggered.
But
and
we still
that's-
have the same terms.
We have
Our term length is still the same.
When you put the same years, you just stagger it.
What if- what if-
That's
so,
what I'm saying.
Commissioner, what if everyone served a 3-year term, except 2 of the appointees served a 4-year term, would that?
No, that's,
Thanks.
that's it. Again,
Just, you,
the challenge is what we're literally, and it sounds like it's not, but this is not semantics. You're literally getting rid of all these members and reestablishing this board,
yeah.
and then having 2 of the districts have served 2-year terms, and the other 2 districts having 3-year terms. I don't know what the mayor's
Yeah,
selection.
I'm sorry,
I
maybe,
don't know
maybe
what
I,
your selection would
I'm
be.
sorry, maybe I didn't explain. We're just talking this initial appointment. This isn't going forward. Going forward, after this initial term of the initial 5, then we're 3 years. Everyone serves for 3 years after that. It's just staggering so
first year.
that this initial board is just staggered so that not everyone comes off the board on the same day.
all right, there's a motion,
I
right?
don't see that in.
Members shall serve for 3-year term and may be reappointed irrespective of the number of terms previously served.
As it says, there's no term limits.
It says, once the terms of an original appointed member expires,
Where are you, Scott?
We got a
if,
Right here.
motion on the floor. In a second.
You see it?
you see,
It's right in here.
it's in subsection A.
So serve a 3-year term may be reappointed irrespective of the number of terms previously served.
This is from these districts, that's just for the first term. Subsequent to the first term, everybody's 3 years. Just to stagger them for the first
Okay.
2 years.
All right, we got a motion, let's vote.
Is that clear?
Yes.
All right, motion made,
Still vote.
second. We need to vote. Let's vote. Motion carries 3-2. So now, write that down and give it to.
Yep. So we'll plug this into the resolution. The second open item on the resolution that was presented was whether board members need to just be residents or can they also own property or be a business owner in Ocoee.
I'm not for that, but if anybody can make the motion, we do.
What does it say right now? What's the requirement?
Right now, it's, you can own property, you can be a resident, you can own property in Ocoee, or you can own a business in Ocoee.
Okay.
I make a motion that we keep that language the same.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Farshner and seconded by Commissioner Oliver to keep it the same.
I'm gonna vote no, because I'm gonna vote no, because I disagree. I think that it should be, especially
Okay,
being a small
all right.
board.
We need to vote on that.
Mhm.
Somebody didn't vote? We need to do it again? Huh? Vote again. Who ain't voting? Oh,
There we go.
all right. I didn't hit a stain.
You
Huh?
didn't, you
didn't
didn't,
vote.
said you didn't vote.
All
So
right.
start all over.
Go back. All right, let's do it again. Or can I just vote?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Let's do it. I can't, where's the, oh, I got it. Sorry, I can't see. Okay,
I think we,
I'm sorry I couldn't see. All right, that loses. 3-2. All right,
so I'm gonna make the motion that members must be a resident of the city of Ocoee.
resident of the city,
Yes,
That's it?
that's my whole motion.
you second.
I don't want to discuss that.
Huh?
I'd like to discuss that.
Hold on, I need a second before we do this.
Oh, okay.
You want a second or not? If you
Say
don't-
that again, the motion.
I'm saying that I want them to be residents of the city of Ocoee.
I'll second.
He seconds. All right, now we got a motion on the floor.
I mean, it doesn't matter if they're renters or it's just they are residents of the city of Ocoee.
All right,
Owners,
let's
residents.
vote.
Well, no, I think Commissioner Oliver said you wanted to say something.
So that's the only criteria, just residents of the city of Ocoee.
Right, they can be owners, renters, they could be,
So basically you're just saying you just can't be a business owner. That's all, that's what you're saying.
No, this says we
You have to
can't.
live here.
you have to live here.
Okay.
You can't be just a property owner. I want folks who are vested in
It should be
the
a
community
citizen.
they live in.
I think didn't we just deal with this with business owners in the last vote?
That didn't make it.
Failed
It
3-2.
Right, so which means what?
It means,
All right, we got a motion on the floor.
But, all right, so,
Before we
wait.
move on, can we ask Scott,
Sure.
on that last, vote, what does it mean? What,
That means you didn't make a decision.
Oh, he's talking about the one before.
Yeah, the
yeah,
one that
on the
failed.
business- On the people who reside in the Ocoee, who own real property or who are business owners located in the city.
Correct. That did not pass.
No.
No.
Mayor said no.
So that means they can, or they cannot be
No,
on the board.
that just means that motion died. There was no decision made by the city commission on, the only decision made by the city commission was that you were not approving those three categories. So you could limit it to residents only, you could limit it to residents or owners of property, you could limit it to residents and those that own a business. The second motion is to limit it just to residents.
All right, we need to vote.
I'm gonna have to take issue with this one, and the reason I'm gonna take issue with this is because there's one thing that I want to add. I want to add to this, even though I don't believe in this, and we shouldn't be doing this, and I'm still perplexed why we're having this conversation. But I still want to add something to, just in case this does pass. I would like to be able to reserve a voting seat to one of the members of the Ocoee massacre, the descendant. One descendant.
No.
To be able to sit and have a voting position on that board.
Well, I found it interesting is that the gentleman.
Your microphone.
The gentleman, yes, Commissioner Princeton didn't remind me, that I recall there was a gentleman who is a descendant who said he was thinking he might be interested in being on that board.
Yeah,
He-
only if he's
And
appointed.
but he lives in Ocoee and he may be someone's appointee.
I understand that, but only if he's appointed.
No, but that, I think he lives in your district. No. lives in
No,
your
he does not
district.
live in my
He
district.
lives in Commissioner Brent's.
He lives in
Only if
commi-
he's appointed.
But that's if he.
But if there's one reserved for a descendant, then there you go. So that's why I would take, even though he's a resident, but what if there's another descendant that
wife
wants
is
to do the same thing?
His wife is a
I
descendant.
think his wife's a descendant, right?
No, he is.
He said his wife.
I think it's him.
I'm not sure, but,
Yeah.
well, we already voted 2 weeks ago that it was going to be, I have to go back to the minutes again that I had. I mean, we've already voted that it's gonna be the 5 and 2. We did that earlier, correct, Melanie?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that we've already said 5 and 2, correct?
Yeah.
Correct, last meeting, there was a vote.
So now, I think what we're looking to decide is what's in front of us, that is, are we going to allow residents, non-residents? We've already said we are not gonna allow business owners
They
and
can't vote.
property owners. So
But it's a
now,
direct conflict in what I'm asking.
I know
Because again,
that,
if it's a non-resident, then that, just by virtue of what we're voting on, if it passes, they're disqualified. So what I'm asking is that we reserve one of those 2 seats of the extra 2 seats,
Well-
just one, to be designated as a member at large, but one descendant.
but I thought the object of the diversity board was to represent all members of the community,
Yeah.
not just one. And this is a very important event that happened in our community. But I believe that when we're talking about diversity board, we're talking about the 41 different diverse members of our community. We're not talking one, we're talking 41. So, I would hope that of the people that go on this board, they will be representing all 41. And that's
Right.
my purpose, that's my thought with HRDV, that they will represent everyone. So we hope that they will represent the family members. They will also represent the Asian American community. They will also represent the Native Americans. They will also represent the Hispanics. That's their job, is to represent all 41.
I get
Not
that.
just
Right.
one.
I get that.
And so
That
that's my
makes
problem with
sense. Yeah.
what you're talking about, is, to me, it's like we're gonna represent one, not 41. And I wanna represent everyone in our city.
All right.
Commissioner, I get what you're saying, that makes sense. I like what you're saying, but it still does not, it still doesn't satisfy my curiosity as to how this board even got started 18 years ago. What did we focus on 18 years ago? What was their mission? Why did they even get together to even have this board? And you know what? It goes back to the massacre. And recognizing, and also being able to move forward.
But they have
So
evolved.
the very basic foundation of this board was predicated on that. So why wouldn't one member have a voice?
No, it wasn't.
vacant
Now, he
lot.
knows
I've
that
heard,
too.
I've heard many,
Lester
many,
Dabbs-
many
no,
times that
Lester Dabbs
we
knows.
just talked about that tonight.
It wasn't just because of the massacre.
I didn't say it was just
Diversity in
because of
this
math, but
town-
that was actually one
He
of the
knows that,
main reasons
Bill.
why they even got together. There
Lester
was,
Dabbs will
there's
tell
been
you that.
studies, they
That's
had a whole study.
No.
There was books written.
That's
And-
right.
And guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what? After all those studies with Lester Dabbs,
What, Lester
and,
Dabbs?
and wait a minute. I
I know Lester, you did.
I'm, okay, but I'm just telling you, I'm only taking what you've said,
No.
what I've heard,
No.
and there's these studies that was had. There was people that got together to say, hey, let's do something about this. Then all of a sudden we had a diversity board.
No.
Because if you read the proclamation, I can read the proclamation to you that you signed, and it deals with the Human Diversity Board. There's verbiage in there that mentions the Human Diversity Board. It got started based on that.
Let's move on, but
just-
here's the point.
Okay.
Here's the point. The proclamation, which I know who wrote it, he's one of them sitting right there, and the other one's not here, and I helped. And the other, Miss Golden's not here.
I think
What-
Commissioner Brinson wrote some of that as well.
No, that proclamation was wrote.
No.
Well, we're not going into that either. 'cause
Okay.
Anybody can say what they want to say.
I can show you the invoice.
But here's the deal. Lester Dabbs, and I mentioned this at the last meeting. If you go back and look at the history, Lester Dabbs brought diversity because the whole town, and the town was not. It wasn't just because of the massacre. The massacre never was brought up during Lester's first part of doing that in 1962. And it was all about all the city not being diverse. It wasn't just about what happened in 1920. So don't go telling things Lester Dabbs did, because you can go read his thesis and see it. So we got a motion on the floor with a second. Let's vote.
What's the motion again?
Read the motion.
Motion was that all members of the HRDB board must be residents of the city.
All right, let's vote. Go again. Who didn't vote? All right.
Mr. Brinson.
Motion carries, three votes carries the motion for that deal. Don't get excited, y'all still gonna be. We're not gonna let you leave. All right, now we need to move on, that's it, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move to the commissioner's comments.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think there's another business that we need to
What?
address, and that is how do we make our selections? What are we doing to make this? We just bringing it back to us, or what are we doing?
You make your own selection, you find somebody to go on that board.
So, yeah, I think we have a meeting when, January 17th?
17th.
I think it would be really nice if at the time we adopt this ordinance, you come with your designation from your district, talk to them, make sure they understand the mission and want to serve on the board, and appoint them at that meeting, at that same meeting. You can bring forward other names that could be included as the at-large, the two at-large members. So I think the plan would be by January 17th, you come to that meeting with an idea of who you want to be on the board. We adopt this resolution and we appoint the initial board members at that meeting.
Okay, are we going to have applications they have to fill out, especially when we start referring to the at-large members? Because if each one of us bring one at-large member, that's five. That's a pool of five.
Then
If we
to
bring
vote
two,
then we have to vote on it.
yeah, but how do we vote without an application?
Melanie, were we anticipating an application?
Yes, so with the, kind of like how we handled the planning and zoning restructure, we provided application to all the elected officials. We also accepted applications from any residents who had been interested, since there are gonna be two positions that are at large. The applications that the district commissioner brings to me will put aside as that's their chosen applicant. Anything extra that we receive can be considered for the at-large openings.
Well, that brings up another question. If there are members of the public, let's say in my district, that actually submits an application that they want to be considered to be a member of this board, how do I are you going to forward those applications to me so I can select from that pool? Or am I to go out there and do the work to try to find a member to serve on this?
Yeah, I think as applications come in, the city clerk's office can forward those to the commissioners. You can select from those applications, or you can identify someone else, give them an application, have them submit that application, and then any that you don't put forward as a designee will go into the pool for consideration for the at-large seats. So the city clerk's office will develop an application, send that to all of the commissioners, so you can hand it out, give it to whoever, encourage people to apply, and then the city, through the normal process, can advertise the openings. They can submit applications on their own. And any applications that are received that are not included in a commissioner's designation will be up for consideration for the 2 at-large seats.
But the city will accept applications from people who, let's say they want to be in District 4 or District 3, and they submit their application online or in person by dropping it off. Will that each individual commissioner, will they have the latitude to choose from that? Because I want to make sure that we're not missing out on some jewel out there.
Sure.
That we select somebody and yet we disregard an application that person is actually perfect for that board. So it's a little bit of record keeping and housekeeping that we need to do here before we move off this subject.
Yeah, so
we need to know,
okay.
because come January, we need to make those selections.
Yeah, we're coming up. So I think as applications come in, the city clerk's office will just forward those to the commissioners whose district they live in, and the mayor, since he's selecting citywide. And then you'll have those pool to choose from, or someone that maybe hasn't submitted an application that you talk to and get them to submit an application.
Okay, I don't know, Mr. Mayor, do you need to do a consensus on that? You need to have a consensus?
Yeah, let's get consensus on that. If that's the
All right.
direction we're gonna
Is that
take, we're shooting
consensus?
for January 17th to
read
get
it.
this done.
How about down there? Yep.
I'm still on the fence.
Okay. Well, there's 4 consensus for and 1 sitting waiver.
Scott, isn't there something, just quickly, isn't there something that we, thank you, that we cannot appoint, like certain relatives of ours to these boards? Isn't there, I'm quite sure when I went through an ethics training that they delineate who can go on boards and who can't, so you can't put your,
workers can't.
but I mean, you can't put certain relatives on them, so I think it's something, if that's something you could
Maybe
investigate
we can
for
put
us,
that
because-
on, we'll put that on the application.
Because I believe there's something that, like, there was a whole list of folks
Yeah.
that we could not appoint to boards if they were somehow related to us. Like, my daughter could not go on a board,
Gotcha.
and my spouse could not go on a board,
Okay.
or my sister.
We'll include that on the application.
Okay.
All right.
So before we go any further, I do have a motion
No.
concerning the same subject. I would like to make a motion that each member go through annual diversity training, mandatory annual diversity training, paid for by the city.
If you can find it for, if you find a program, I would be more than happy to go through it. I think if there's.
Well, the Florida League of Cities have many programs that
Well-
cover these types of things.
I
There's
think
programs
they
that,
did, well, they did one that we went
so our
to,
staff went through a training.
didn't we go to one over at the, women's club that
Yes.
they held? We had that one.
Well, I'm talking about the members
all
of the
attended.
HRDB board.
Oh, you're talking about the board, okay,
The
I'm sorry.
board, the
Thought you
members of
were
the
talking
HRDB,
about us, 'cause
I'm
we-
saying that the
we did
members
go
of the
through.
HRDB board should go through mandatory diversity training annually.
Yeah, you're right.
And if they,
Florida
and
League had one.
if they miss it, they should have an opportunity to make it up somehow on their own, or how we deemed it that to be, the procedure. And if they miss it twice, then they're removed.
We just have to make it available to them where it's convenient. But yes.
Well, you can,
'cause
you can,
we-
you can make it, you can make it convenient, but what I'm saying is, you may have a member that just don't wanna do it.
Who's
And if they
second?
don't wanna do it, that tells us they don't wanna be on the board, so they should be replaced by someone that wants to do it.
All right. is there a
So the
second?
motion is that
Yeah,
each member should go through mandatory annual diversity
Is there a
training.
second?
I think that's consensus.
I have a,
I'm not voting for that.
I have a question on this. Because you said annually, and I think that's a big ask.
Yeah.
I think that's a big ask. I
We go
think
through
at least,
ethics training annually.
right, but we're elected. So our scope of responsibilities is a little different than an advisory board. But I will say that I would agree that within 6 months of being on that board, you must complete ethics training. I think that's heavy, because I think this ethics training is not just for HRDB. I think ethics training, because they are beholden to the Sunshine Law, that everyone who sits on an advisory board within the city of Ocoee should be going through this same ethics training.
We used to.
So that's two different
We
things.
still,
You
we
said
haven't
ethics
got a
and
second.
diversity.
We have no second. So that
I don't
failed.
Wait a minute, we have discussed.
Well, we
We've
still-
had it on there a long time.
Yeah, but we're discussing it, so if,
Hey,
right, but if, would you like to amend your motion, or otherwise it's probably gonna not work?
Huh? What?
I would like to make a
What did he
motion.
say?
I would like to make a motion that each member of the HRDB go through mandatory annual diversity training.
All right, motion made. Was that annual
You said ethics.
diversity training? Who's seconded? That's what I said. Nobody seconded.
And then we end up back where we are, same thing.
No.
Okay,
No.
now I would like to make a motion that each member of an advisory board goes through diversity training within 6 months of them being put on that board.
All right.
That's the same thing.
No,
No.
no, that's not the same thing.
The first one was every year, each board member would do training.
Okay.
This one is within 6 months of being appointed, you do the training.
Okay. You can second?
I'll second that.
He's, all right, Commissioner Wilson seconded.
Okay, I would like to amend my motion. Based on wise counsel from the city manager, I would like to amend the motion that the members of the advisory board in the city of Ocoee complete their diversity training within 12 months of them being appointed to that advisory
You
board.
second it?
I'll second that.
Commissioner Wilson seconds it. Let's vote.
That sounds better.
Motion carries unanimously.
Could I also say that we should have, I think a lot of our boards should have ethics training.
Yeah.
Because I don't think everyone understands what sunshine is. And when you sit on a board with someone, you don't walk out the door and continue the conversation out in the parking lot. The conversation ends when,
I'm sorry, Melanie, did I say ethics or did I say
you
diversity?
said diversity.
Diversity.
Yes.
I-
That's what you were after, wasn't it?
No, I was not after, I'm sorry, my apologies.
Okay, you want to take that motion away?
I would like to, I would like to make a motion that we disregard the previous vote, and I make a motion that all members of advisory boards go through ethics training within 1 year of them being appointed to their advisory board.
How about all of them go through it anyways? Because a lot of them have never gone through it. And they've been appointed.
Only problem, that's two different types of training, because just because you go through ethics training does not mean that you understand what diversity and inclusion is.
That's true.
That's two different trainings.
I'm going to second this motion regarding ethics training.
All right,
That's
motion
important.
made that we,
Hang on.
got a second.
They're not subject.
Can we just keep the diversity training and also add ethics?
Well, we haven't got rid of it yet.
Yes, I think that's.
Okay, so you're withdrawing your motion to
Can they do both of them
To
at the
rescind.
same time?
I would like to withdraw my motion to rescind the previous vote.
So now the motion, as I understand it, is, so the diversity training within 12 months of appointment is HRDB board. And now we're making a motion that all board members attend ethics training within 12 months of being appointed.
Yes.
I'm gonna second that. Hopefully, I'm right. I got.
Okay, motion made and
Because
seconded.
both, you're doing both of them. It's
But
just
see,
the
your
second.
motion didn't say both, your motion just said ethics.
No, the first one said it.
Right,
for-
but
that
now
one
you're saying
passed,
and the second
ethics
one-
and diversity?
No, Scott, if I'm correct, the first vote was for diversity training, and that passed.
That's
And
correct.
then the second vote was for ethics, and now we have to vote on that.
That's right.
All right, let's vote.
Don't say anymore so I get confused.
Motion carries 4-1. All right. Okay, can we move on now? Comments from commissioners. Let's start with Commissioner Oliver.
You forgetting
You
the public.
warmed up down there, I'm gonna let you.
Did you have any
There's no
public
comments from the
comments?
public.
Huh?
There's no comments from the public.
Anybody in the public wanna make a comment?
Oh, sorry.
Fill your paper out.
Said that.
Chris is gonna regret that.
I think we've been here long enough, we can maybe stay till midnight, have some coffee or something, you know what I'm saying? Here, Melanie.
These
My
are
name's Chris.
3-minute comments.
Yeah, mine won't be
All
that.
right.
My name's Chris Adkins. I live at 606 Ridgefield Avenue here in Ocoee, Florida. I want to touch base a little bit about some things I heard through the evening, and I want to be quick. I think our grandparents and some of our great-grandparents who were able to meet them used to say something to us back in the day, and it was really simple. And this isn't just Ocoee that's kind of getting mixed in with all this diversity and he said and white thing and black thing, and it all boils back to that. It all boils back to something very simple. Treat people how you want to be treated. Doesn't matter what they look like. Doesn't
Amen.
matter what they believe, right? Doesn't matter who they love. And when people act out, they should be held accountable. We can go back and forth about all these boards. I've listened to it all night. I listened to the diversity and the ethics training. We have a human resource department right here. Why don't we use our human resources department to do both of those things? And I want to say one thing about the young lady that was up here. I didn't like some of the content that she was talking about with the invoice she needed to get paid, but it wasn't her fault. It was the city's fault. And that was put on this agenda, and someone from finance respectfully should have been here. They should have not walked out of here and left it to where it was all chaos like that. And that comes from leadership. That was on the agenda, she should have been here. I appreciate everybody very much. I love the city of Ocoee, and I thank you guys for doing what you do.
All right. Did you give the papers? Start the clock.
Good afternoon. My name is Annette Brown, 1303 Ridgefield Avenue here in Ocoee. I come to talk about the Diversity Board. I am a new member on the board, and I really enjoy sitting on the board and listening to the debates, though they get really heated. I want to speak about the Lori Hart incident. No one put Lori off. The entire board voted for Lori to stay. There was a motion, and the motion went for Laura to be dismissed. It was second. We voted for her to stay. Every member voted but one. Lori decided she still would leave. I was in tears when she decided because we voted for her to stay. No one forced Laura off that board. We really wanted her to stay. We voted yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Mr. Moore, you already,
It'll take a couple seconds. The next meeting here
The
is
microphone, the microphone.
microphone.
Yes, sir.
Jim Orr, Arden Park. The next meeting here is January 17th. Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday is January 16th. Please honor Dr. King and his memory and all his accomplishments. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you. All right. Now, all right, commissioners, Commissioner Oliver.
Before we start, I got a question. How are we handling the MLK parade since this board is in transition?
We got a department, the community department can handle it.
Which department is that?
Joy?
Okay, so we actually, services, they don't handle
Doug?
everything.
Doug?
Yeah, they've been doing it for several years.
Yeah,
They're
they've
pretty
done
good
it
at it.
before.
So it's support services, Joy and Doug in support services.
Have they asked for volunteers from the current board to help out?
I don't know. They may have or they may not have. We could find that information out.
Okay, because there's some members on the board that would like to help out, that I believe that would be beneficial. Brad, I know you want to volunteer, right? See? There you go. Exactly. So I hope they'll reach out to the current members and ask them to volunteer. All right. Okay. Okay, the traffic light at Ingham Road and Clerical and Ocoee Road is underway, it's under construction, it's being erected every single day. I think those mast arms are in, they've already been prefabbed, they're ready to go, and just a matter of days, we'll start seeing those mast arms come up. Also on the corner of McCormick and Ocoee Apopka Road, that one's also coming. They should be coming almost about the same time. So those are two hot spots in the city that we see a lot of traffic accidents, and they are coming. So just want to let you know that. Also, kudos and cheers to the Ocoee High School football team who made it to the state semifinals. It was, I tell you, it was a shootout. That game was riveting, and those kids, they played their hearts out. And again, we want to congratulate them. And if you see any of those kids that played on that team, just reach out to them and congratulate them. Just say, thank you for your hard work. And beyond being on the field, the average grade point average for that team is a 3.0 or higher. So that's the average for the team, the entire team. So that's just a great testament to our educational system and also to our student athletes. The widening of Clark Road is still underway. We're at 90% on the design work for the widening of Clark Road. I know that doesn't mean much to you, but it means a lot to us when it comes to development and what that means to our planning office. So 90% means we're really close to starting to see some construction. And I think that by the beginning of next week, we should have more information. And once they conclude that, then we'll start seeing some dirt turning on Clark Road that will relieve us of some of the traffic that we run into on Clark Road. It's something we've all been waiting on for a very, very long time, which brings me to holiday traffic. We're in the midst of the holiday season, and there's going to be a lot of traffic on the roads, a lot of people, folks shopping, folks visiting from out of town. Be mindful of your speed. One of the things we deal with in the city is speeding. So we have to be our brothers and keepers of our brothers and our sisters. So we have to mind ourselves. So make sure that we remind our relatives that come into town, hey, slow it down. We've had a lot of accidents in our city. So be mindful of holiday traffic, not only just in our city, but all around the county. So watch that speed and also drive for other folks. Drive for our visitors. Drive for those tourists that come into town and that kind of wander off the beaten path into different parts of our city. So drive for them as well. Which also brings me to holiday safety. Again, you're out shopping, you're out with your grandkids, you're out with your kids, and you're out at Walmart and Publix and all the different retailers doing all this Christmas shopping and getting ready for your holiday meals and those relatives that's coming into town. Be mindful of your surroundings. Do not create opportunities, crimes of opportunity, because there are folks out there that want to identify crimes of opportunity and take advantage of that. So we need to be vigilant about what's going on around us during this holiday season. I'm going to leave with this. My wife sent this to me. This was about a month or so ago, a couple months. She sent this to me, and it was about diversity. So I'm just going to read this. It says, "We all should know that diversity makes for a rich tapestry, and we must understand
that all the threads of that tapestry are equal in value, no matter what their color. That was by Maya Angelou. So thank you so much, and I want you guys to, as I speak here, for the citizens as well as the leadership and elected officials, I want you to have a wonderful holiday season. I pray that you will have peace in your homes, in your heart. I pray that you will have opportunities to enjoy your friends and your family. I pray that you will have an opportunity to reflect on the past year and all the things that you should be grateful for. So I pray that peace, I pray that you have love in your hearts as well as in your homes and amongst your families. Thank you, and God bless you, and we'll see you after the holidays.
Our next meeting is January 17th. I'd just like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Please stay safe out there. As Commissioner Oliver said, you know, in your travels and all, be aware of your surroundings, be careful, have a safe and happy holiday. Thank you.
Yes, just wanted to remind everyone, this Saturday, December 10th, we are going to have the Jolly Jamboree. I'm not gonna, I see the mayor's got the schedule, I'm not gonna interrupt with that. But, the Jolly Jamboree, it's gonna be from 4 to 9. It's somewhat of a street party right out here. I won't say what we're going to do, because I can see that's gonna come in a minute. But please don't forget to come, 4 to 9. It's gonna be a fun event. I can't say much. Okay, I will say there's gonna be a parade of dogs.
Oh, I was gonna say that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, all right, I might say something at the very end if you've missed something. But, in the neighborhoods, you're hearing the, Operation Santa going through, and you hear all the sirens, and you know that, they're just spreading joy in the neighborhood, but they're also collecting toys for our Toys for Children in Need program in the city of Ocoee. So if you're able to share an unwrapped toy with them, please do. But it's always a fun thing when we see the Operation Santa running through the neighborhoods and driving you crazy and your animals crazy with the sirens. But it's a fun time, and so that's one thing. But I guess happy holidays. Please be safe out there. I know that when it seems that right before Thanksgiving, people start driving crazy, and they do, and they are driving that way. So please don't join in. And just be safe. So thank you. And we hope to see you all this Saturday.
What's happening Saturday?
Jolly Jamboree?
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
In the spirit of safety in the holiday season, it is important that we get safe and remain safe. But one of the things that I found that we do oftentimes, we're not even thinking about, is that we're on vacation, we out at the mall, we doing all these check-ins on Facebook and all these social media platforms. If you are on vacation during this holiday season, do as best you can, wait till you return home to post that you are out of town. I'll say it again. If you're posting that you're up visiting relatives in Atlanta or Los Angeles, someone knows that you're out of town. And you may come home to an empty house, or some of your belongings may not be there when you get there. Social media is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful invention, but it also can get you in trouble, cause you to have to go Christmas shopping for something else that you hadn't planned on. Today, I went to the swearing in for Orange County electeds. It was a good event. They had at least one county commissioner who was new kid on the block, I think is what they refer to him as. Visit your county elected officials, because the mayor alluded to something earlier tonight, and it's important that we make sure that we keep this front of mind instead of the back of our mind, and that is some of the roads that run through our city do not belong to the city. They belong to the county. And if we do not push the pressure on them, not just from this position that I'm sitting in, but from the position you're sitting in, then it may or may not go as quickly or smoothly as we desire. So put the pressure on them. Some of them, they got a long time in office. So reach out to them and let them know that you're watching what they're doing as well as what they're not doing. Early voting is going to be happening, even though this month there's some voting going on around the nation. But for the city of Ocoee, our voting is when? That's right, it's in March. Thank you for that, whoever that was. Tuesday. And the voting day is, was that the 17th?
Tuesday, March the 14th.
March 14th. Early voting is going to happen, but we're going to wait to find out when that's going to happen. But that's important. Even though voting has happened, a lot of people think their civic duty is complete. For those of us in the city of Ocoee, it is not. I assure you, it is not. So keep in mind, come March, and I will be saying this from now until then, get out and vote, please. 9 o'clock routine, that's important, holiday season. Check your garage doors, check your windows, check your around your house or your wherever you live, because this is the holiday season and you can become a target of opportunity if you become lax in your security. Do not be that person that have to call 911 to fill out a police report. Commissioner Wilson spoke about Operation Santa. It's coming, it's that time of the year. There should be signs in the ground in different communities. Pay attention to those, because it's a wonderful time. I enjoy it every time I get a chance to go. Last thing I'm gonna, it's probably not gonna be last thing, but last thing I'm gonna say is HRDB membership. We talked about this at length. I am Larry Brinson, your commissioner for District 1. District 1. If you desire to sit on the Human Relations and Diversity Board, please reach out to Larry Brinson. You can call City Hall, or better yet, you can send me an email at lbrinson@ocoee.org. And I will take your application and I will review it. I'm not saying I will select you, but you will be in the running. I want as many applications as I can, because I like to choose the best person, at least that I can from the applications I have. If you need to call me, 407-388-4282. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to respond briefly, since apparently my leadership skills were disparaged just a few minutes ago. I just wanted to remind you all, at the last commission meeting, you asked me to bring receipts forward for whether you were willing to pay them or not. We typically don't make sure we have a CPA finance director here for something that would be that simple and straightforward. If there were other questions that you asked me to address, I would have had her here. But this was a very simple issue in my mind. You wanted to see some receipts, and you were going to decide whether to pay them or not. That's all I really have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We've got 3 papers. The December the 20th and January the 3rd meetings have been canceled. The next regular city commission meeting will be on Tuesday, January 17th. In observance of Christmas Day, City Hall will be closed on Friday, December the 23rd, and Monday, December the 26th. Also, City Hall will be closed Monday, January the 2nd, in observance of New Year's Day. The election, our city election, will be held on Tuesday, March the 14th, 2023. Qualifying is January the 20th on noon, ending at noon, January 27th at City Hall. The fee for qualifying for the office of mayor is $145, and for commissioners is $90. There'll be city commissioner terms up for 4 years, one from District 1 and one from District 3. We have Jolly Jamboree that Mr. Wilson was sneaking in on me. It's a doggy parade, and I still think you put that in there.
That is our director.
So the doggy parade will start at 4 o'clock downtown on McKee Street. Then you have a singing competition. Bill, I know you like to do a little singing. So that'll be downtown on stage 2. Ice skating, teacup rides, axe throwing. And they're gonna have commissioners, they said, sitting up there. Oh, train rides, horse and carriage rides, Pictures with Santa, bubble bus, I don't know what that is. Holiday tree lighting will be at 7 o'clock here in front of City Hall. Then we got a lot of music performances starting at 4:30 on the main stage down here at the city, going all the way down to 8:15 to 8:45.
You
I'll-
forgot something.
What
Excuse me. It says that the commissioners are going to be one of the musical performers.
Who's that, you?
No, I don't know if anyone up here is gonna be a musical.
It won't be
performer.
me. The other is the Ocoee Police Department Holiday Toys for Kids. You can, this year, you can go 3 different ways. You can go to Target, Walmart, or Amazon and scan the deal and buy anything for the police department through Ocoee at those places. And the city has these out in the hallway. Is that it? Rob, I think, I made that comment about that earlier about the contract, and I wasn't insinuating to you because you were trying. It was just, I think, that was up in the department that should have had it. We should have had a contract, but that wasn't disparaging on you.
Well, that was a different issue, the
No, I know,
contract.
I know.
It's like, yeah, we can work to that. It's typically, one of my comments earlier
Yeah.
was with
No.
the board and then having to go through staff and getting some authorization.
Contrary
That
to-
can get lost in the mix.
Contrary to a lot of thought processes, but I think most people in this city, if you've dealt with other governments, you'll find that our government is one of the better ones run with our staff. Money-wise, financial-wise, and everything else. And you feel free to call me, ma'am, and I'll take you down to the finance department and meet down there at the city clerk's office and pull those records for you, where you can get what happens with the Music Fest. It's such an interesting thing. It's simple. It's just raise money and pay the bills and get receipts. So finance, you can go to the Melanie city clerk's office and put in an order to get that stuff. Started in 28 years ago with the Lions Club. The Lions Club started it 28 years ago, down by the lake. And you remember, there was 2 people out there, 2 or 3, then it went into, it gradually built into whatever else it ended up doing. But it started with the Lions Club. All right, let's go home.